Tonight from Fenway Park, the Red Sox go for a 2-game sweep of the San Francisco Giants. On an evening they can move into first place in the AL East. It's also the Boston debut of new left-hander Drew Pomeranz. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Yawkey Way. Great to have you with us. I'm Dave O'Brien. My partner is Jerry Remy. Gary Striewski joining us in just a couple of moments. And, Jerry, at the end of the first half, a big trade was made for the Boston Red Sox as Drew Pomeranz was acquired from the San Diego Padres by Dave Dombrowski. It's a trade the Red Sox really needed to make. Tonight he makes his Boston debut against a Giant team he's already faced 3 times.
Yeah, you know, and we were talking about this earlier, why wait till the deadline, and Dombrowski did not do that. He had an all-star out there that he was able to get, and he went out to get him. And you see the numbers so far this season for Pomeranz. They've been pretty good. 8-7, a very impressive 2.47 ERA, 184 batting average against. And look at his last 3 starts, 2-0 with a 0.433 ERA. That's with the San Diego Padres. And, of course, you know, when you think about Pomeranz tonight pitching for a new ball club, nerves become a part of it. It's only natural for a player to come to a new ballpark, new fans, new teammates, and you want to impress right away. So hopefully he can get to the first couple of innings nerve-free and then settle into his game.
Also pitching in those throwback uniforms to 1975. You really love those.
Oh, yes, they're very nice.
Right. So it's Pomeranz on the mound in his Red Sox debut with a victory and a Baltimore loss to the New York Yankees. The Sox would be back in first place by half a game in the American League East. But all eyes on Pomeranz, and it's coming up Game 2 with San Francisco. Toyota's website for deals. Dunkin' Donuts, America runs on Dunkin'. The 2017 Kia Sportage. Visit anykiadealers.com to learn more. By DraftKings, the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of your Boston Red Sox. Subaru Retailers of New England. By Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. And by Southwest Airlines, transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Beautiful night here in Boston, Fenway Park, Giants and the Red Sox. And the Sox in the month of July have really turned things around after a dreadful month of June in which they went 10-16. Now 10-3 for the month, hitting the ball at about the normal rate, frankly, for the season, scoring about 5.5 runs a game, a lot of extra base hits, and the pitching has been much, much better. Time to bring in Gary Striewski. Gary, a major change for the Red Sox at the end of games now because Koji Uehara, as you detailed earlier, is now on the disabled list.
Obi, you know, it's good to have a contingency plan, and Coach Uehara was exactly that when Craig Kimbrell found his way on the disabled list. It's also beneficial to have a contingency plan for your contingency plan, and that name is Brad Ziegler, a timely pickup for this Boston Red Sox team because now he's your 9th inning guy, according to John Farrell.
There may be some left-handed situations that if we're facing a string of left-handers, that could there be other options in that bullpen to close out? I don't want to just rule that out. But as far as building a game and working back to a closer, it's Brad in that spot.
So we're ready to rock with Brad Ziegler. I was actually talking to him just a little bit ago, and he was saying, listen, whatever these guys want me to do, I'm cool with coming in the 6th inning, but I'm also very used to and very cool with coming to close things out. That was actually before John Farrell made that announcement. So Ziegler well aware now that he is this team's closer going forward as Coach Uehara and Craig Kimbrell make their way back. And how about now, Drew Pomeranz? Get used to the big lefty. In the 75 garb, we're going to see his Red Sox debut tonight as Boston looks to break out the mini brooms against the Giants. First pitch coming up.
To you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Red Sox and the San Francisco Giants, and that is Drew Pomeranz, 6'6", 240 pounds, 27 years old from Tennessee, about to make his Red Sox debut here tonight. And the Giants lineup he faces is brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. Denard Span will lead it off. Then it's Angel Pagan, Brandon Belt at first base. Buster Posey is the DH tonight. Brandon Crawford at shortstop, Mac Williamson in right field. Grant Green will be at second base, Trevor Brown the catcher, and Ramiro Pena is at third base and the number 9 hitter. Red Sox starting pitcher presented by your New England Audi dealers. With the San Diego Padres, Pomeranz was 8-7 with a 2.47 earned run average.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, and they are 7th in the American League with 50 errors in 91 games. Travis Shaw will be at third base, Xander Bogaerts the shortstop, Dustin Pedroia at second, Hanley Ramirez the first baseman. Left to right, Brock Holt, Jackie Bradley Jr., Mookie Betts, and doing the catching tonight, Sandy Leone.
Tonight's umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. Stu Shearwater is at home plate with Mike Everett at first, Jordan Baker at second, Tim Timmons the umpire at third base. We're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP is presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota Certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas noches, amigos.
And the weather's just perfect. 80 degrees right on the nose. A bit of a breeze out to right at 12 miles per hour, but clear for the evening. And just gorgeous for Game 2. And we'll see what is in store for Pomeranz, acquired from the Padres from minor league pitcher Anderson Espinoza, just as Pomeranz was selected to his first All-Star team.
You know, Dave, you wonder what's going through his mind right now. I mean, a guy that's come from San Diego and into Boston, pitching at Fenway Park for the first time, new fans, new teammates, trying to make a big impression. And we'll see how it goes for him. Certainly the Giants, no strangers to him. He's faced them 3 times already this season, 0-2 with a 2.60 ERA.
His last start came against the Dodgers in Los Angeles, a 6-0 win, 7 innings, and he allowed just 2 hits, and he struck out 6. Denard Span will lead things off in these giant throwback uniforms. They look a lot like the Orioles. He's hitting .251 with 4 homers and 30 runs batted in.
That's back to 1975 tonight.
No belts. And those look better in some guys than others, don't they?
Absolutely.
Helps to be a little fit. Pomerantz ready, and his first pitch with the Red Sox is high for ball 1, and we're underway. Red Sox pitchers have been dealing as of late. They have not allowed a run at home in the last 26 innings since July 9th against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, for Pomerantz, you'll see the fastball, a cut fastball, curveball, and changeup.
And the 1-1 to Span. Poke foul.
That's the cut fastball right there at 86 miles an hour. His fastball, his straight fastball, is about 91.
The big left-hander, number 2 in the majors in batting average against, allowing just a 184 clip, and he is 5th in earned run average. 1-2 is fouled away again.
Upstairs by design that time. You can see San Leon give him the fastball. He wanted the ball up. It's exactly where he gets it. The fastball up high, but Span is able to foul it off down that third baseline.
Again, he's already faced San Francisco 3 times. He is 0-2 against them with a .260 ERA, and drops that one down into the dirt.
That's the curveball we were talking about, the first one he's thrown, and the ones that I have watched on video, Pomerantz are very good. This one dropping down and out of the strike zone.
And the 2-2 to Span. That moves him back half a step. So to count 3 balls, 2 strikes. San Francisco with a 4-game losing streak. Bruce Bochy, the manager, said we just need somebody to get a big hit and inject some life into this offense. He said we're flat right now. We got to get on track very soon. The 3-2. And he walks him. A 7-pitch at bat, and he walks the first man he faces.
Well, as we mentioned last night, Span at first base can run. He's got 9 steals on the season, but he has been caught 5 times.
That'll send up Pagan, who had a couple of hits in game 1. He was 2 for 4 last night, and he is 2 for 10 against Pomerantz. Now, Pomerantz has not faced San Francisco in a while. You have to go all the way back to the 23rd of May when he gave up 2 hits in 7 innings against them. And he deals a strike.
Cut fastball that time right at the top of the strike zone for Pomerantz.
Brandon Belt on deck. And the 0-1 pitch to Pagan, who can also run. Outside.
Red Sox playing it pretty much straight up all over the outfield, the infield against Pagan. And certainly a double play depth as the second baseman and shortstop are in about 3 or 4 steps.
Pagan has been on 2 of their World Series teams. The 1-1. And that'll drift down and in. Curveball again at 79, but he missed with it. There is a lot of baseball in the family for Pomerantz. His great grandfather pitched in the major leagues in the 1920s. The 2-1. Big swing and a miss.
That's his go-to pitch right there, the cut fastball. They say that's really what turned his career around, the ability to throw the cut and learn the cut fastball and throw it. And that's a good one right there, right under the hands of Pagan.
Span on at first base, getting a decent lead. And the new acquisition with a 2-2 to Pagan. Runner holding. And a little looper toward right field, but that is going to drop foul. The Orioles are at Yankee Stadium. Their game is underway. Toronto has already won big today at Arizona 10-4. But no score in that Yankee and Baltimore game. Red Sox are a half game out. And Pomeranz taking his time to deliver a 2-2. Line drive caught by Ramirez. A nice play as he lunges to his right to backhand it.
Yeah, that stops a first and third situation right there because Ramirez holding the runner on. They watch him bounce off and have to go across his body to make the catch. If that ball gets by him, you're talking about first and third instead of now one out with the man still at first base. Nice play by Hanley Ramirez. Once you hold that man on, once the pitch is going into the plate, you've got to bounce off that first base bag about 2 or 3 steps. That's exactly what Hanley did. Able to make the play.
So one man gone for Brandon Belt, first baseman, 287, 10 homers, 47 driven in. And he is 0 for 6 lifetime against the Red Sox lefty Pomeranz. Goes after the first pitch very aggressively and fouls it away.
Yeah, Red Sox have the shift on in the infield. 3 players on the right side. Bogaerts, the only player left, moving back now. He was in on the grass until the count went to 0-1. Now he moves back. Right now, Pedroia is telling Bogaerts if he takes off, you've got to cover third base.
The 0-1 runner holding, and it's fouled back.
Little fake that time at first base by Denard Span. You can see Leone coming up quickly out of his crouch on that pitch just in case.
Belt really scuffling since the All-Star break. He is 0 for 16 since the second half got underway with 8 strikeouts. Batting average has plummeted from 302 to 287. And the 0-2. Snap toss down to first. A tag safe. Span diving back in, getting him with that hand.
That's close right there. Very close play. And, you know, you're taught to dive back as far away from the tag as you can, and he did. He did get those fingers in before the tag. But when you come back to first base, always try to slide, if you're coming back head first, to the outfield side of the bag. That makes the tag longer for the first baseman.
1 out, 1 on. No score here in the first inning, and a check swing and a pitch down into the dirt, blocked by Leone.
Now right now, Pomeranz having trouble getting that curveball over for a strike. He's thrown about 4 of them so far. Almost got the chase that time by Belt.
And as you say, loves the curveball. 39% of the time he's throwing it. See what he does on 2-2. Runner goes. Ground ball to first. Hanley gets the certain out there. Down to second is Span. And there are 2 away. This greater coverage of baseball is brought to you by T-Mobile, Major League leaders ERA this month. And Pomeranz is at 0.64. So in that conversation with Strasburg and Scherzer, not too shabby. Does have a runner now in scoring position, though, for Buster Posey, who hits him very, very well. 6 for 13, 2 home runs against Pomeranz. A base open.
Buster Posey, a catcher, getting to DH tonight here in the American League ballpark.
2 down and a ball. Posey was 0 for 3 last night. But facing a guy he likes to see. Crawford on deck. And Span, the runner at second. And a 1-0. Ball 2. Pomeranz facing Matt Cain tonight. These two actually competed on rival high school teams in Tennessee. Cain went to Houston High in Tennessee. Pomeranz to Collierville High. And their moms, Dolores Cain and Lisa Pomeranz, are actually good friends. Here's the 2-0. High fly, right center on the move. Jackie Bradley, time to get there, and makes the play. And Pomeranz is out of the first. He strands a man at second base. Sox coming up. Betts, Pedroia, and Bogaerts. Toyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. It'll be Betts, Pedroia, Bogarts, then David Ortiz, Hanley Ramirez, and Jackie Bradley. Travis Shaw at third, Sandy Leon doing the catching, and Brock Holt is in left field. The Giants starting pitcher presented by Buick is Matt Cain, 1-5, a 5.34 ERA. He missed the previous 29 games with a hamstring injury. So just coming off the DL tonight, and the Giants, frankly, are really not sure what they're going to get out of him. As Mookie Betts stands up and takes a strike.
Now fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup for Matt Cain.
Mookie hitting .299 and pops this one up on the infield. Third baseman Pena near the mound to snatch that for the out.
The Giants defense is brought to you by DraftKings, and they are 5th in the National League. 51 errors on the season. Romero Pena at third base, Brandon Crawford the shortstop, Grant Green at second, and Brandon Belt the first baseman. Left to right, Angel Pagan, Denard Span, and Matt Williamson, and Trevor Brown doing the catching.
Cain 6'3", 230, now 31 years old. And facing Dustin Pedroia, who will take a strike. They have faced each other before. Pedroia is 0 for 3 against him. No score here in the first.
Only 3 guys in the Red Sox lineup have faced him: Pedroia, Ortiz, and Ramirez.
That's right by everybody to the backstop. Bogarts on decks. The Red Sox are 13 games above 500 to match their season high. A win tonight would give the Red Sox 5 consecutive series wins. Here's the 1-1. Right to the third baseman, gobbled up by Pena. 2 down. Now, Cain's been a successful guy in the past, 3-time All-Star. He tossed a perfect game, the first in franchise history, on June 13th of 2012. That was against Houston.
It's got the injury bug over the last couple of seasons.
Xander Bogaerts now 318, 11 homers, 59 driven in. He was 1 for 4 last night in the Sox victory, and a breaking ball in there, a strike. Well, you walk around Fenway Park in a day like today with the Giants in town, and there are Giant fans everywhere. As that has popped up, this is going to be a fast inning for Cain. Belt in foul ground to grab that. The Red Sox go very quickly on about a half dozen pitches, 7 pitches actually, 1, 2, 3. trusted source for Red Sox tickets with the best seats at the lowest prices, all at 200% guarantee. Treat yourself for someone special by visiting aceticket.com or call 1-800-MySeats. Red Sox and the Giants, no score after one. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien with it. Pomeranz did walk the first man he faced, but then got the next three in order. And now we'll take on Brandon Crawford, their fine shortstop, hitting .274 with 9 home runs. Although he is 0 for 9 against Pomeranz in his career. Williamson on deck, and then Green. That one ripped toward the wall, racing back Brock Holt. He's going to have to play it off the green. It'll actually go to Bradley heading into second base. The throw is cut, and diving in with a double is Crawford.
Bradley'd like to have that throw back again because it was off target. If that ball's on target at second base, he's got an excellent chance of picking up his 11th assist of the season. But it's going to be off to the left side, and where it's going to have to be cut off by Bogaerts. There's the cutoff. You see where Pedroia was going, but had that ball been on target, Crawford would have been out at second base.
So Crawford with his first career hit against Pomeranz, his 17th double. And now you hear the Giant fans really spring to life. They were quite silent last night as Williamson gets in. Inside for ball one. They are everywhere. They came to Fenway in force. Williamson hitting just .222 with 4 home runs. Big guy swings hard just like that. He's 6'4", 240.
That fastball at 91 miles an hour from Pomeranz. His strikeout high in the season is 10. He's done that twice.
So that is on the line. The Red Sox have not allowed a run at home the last 27 innings. Nobody out, a runner at second. 1-1, a late cut on a 91-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, that time he elevates the fastball up and away from Williamson. Tough pitch to catch up to as a hitter. Looks good, tough to make contact.
And Pomeranz with a 1-2 to Williamson. Could not get him to offer.
A little bit extra on that one at 93 miles an hour. Tried to get him to chase again upstairs.
Grant Green, the second baseman tonight, on deck. And the 2-2 from the southpaw. He got him. He came back to strike him out with another heater, his first K with the Red Sox.
Now, very big strikeout for Pomeranz because it leaves the man at second base. I mean, ideal in this situation as a hitter, you're trying to move that runner along to third base and get him there with less than 2 outs. That did not happen with the strikeout.
One man away for Green, hitting .265 with 1 home run. Right-hand hitter out of the University of Southern California. He's played for Oakland and the Angels before coming to the Giants. And that's a strike.
That's a good curveball right there. That's the one we were talking about. And he picks up the inside corner with. Starts up high and drops down right about the knees.
Crawford at second, the 0-1. Late cut, grounded foul to make it 0-2. Pomeranz was the Indians' #1 pick back in 2010 out of the University of Mississippi. His dad played there as well. And when Pomeranz was about 11 years old, his father taught him that curveball, which he has carried on to the big league level. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Liner, another nice play off the hop by Ramirez. He'll go to the bag and get the out. Crawford safely down to third, but that's the second one that Hanley Ramirez has made tonight.
Yeah, the first one saved the first and third situation. This one saves a run. This ball hit very hard to Hanley's left, but he's able to make it on the in-between hop and get the out at first base. Very nice play there by Ramirez. That ball just about by him, and that saves a run.
So Green robbed. And Trevor Brown is next. He's their number 2 catcher, with Buster Posey the DH tonight. He's 1 for 1 against Pomerantz in his career. 2 down. Runner at third base, and that is ball 1. Brown broke into the majors last year. Hit just .231 in 13 games. He'll eye a strike. He loves that hook. Another one there for a strike to make it 1-1.
Back to the curveball again, it looks like.
The 1-1 pitch. Check swing, and that one missing down low. Ramiro Pena on deck, the number 9 hitter. Crawford doubled to begin the inning, now 90 feet away. Here's the 2-1. And he takes a strike.
That's 3 straight curveballs by Pomerantz. This time he drops it in for the strike. Tumbling effect to it.
He struck out Williamson. Looking for another K here. The 2-2 on the way. And he got him. He struck him out looking. He went to the fastball to Phantom. And they strand that runner at third base. After 1.5, no score at Fenway. Weekdays at 5:30 on NESN. Get your daily dose of news on your favorite New England sports teams. NESN Live, presented by Cross Insurance. Well, no score after 1.5. Red Sox coming up with Ortiz, Ramirez, and Bradley against Matt Cain, who has been on the disabled list a couple of times this year because of hamstring issues. Big Papi with a home run here last night, number 23. And number 526. It came against his old buddy Jake Peavy, who said, "I would have liked to have pitched that game without David Ortiz in it." It was a really nice moment in the game where Peavy was saluted by the fans with a video tribute, but he paid no attention to it, as that one's fouled back. 1-1. He was really locked in.
David Ortiz last night in the 4th inning got that cut fastball right there from Peavy, and I was thinking about that home run last night on the way home. You see how deep that is? Down, almost down the exit sign, down the runway. And then I thought about the one that Williams hit. I mean, I don't know how you can hit a ball harder than what David Ortiz hit that last night. Talking about that red seat that's somewhere 3 miles from home plate.
502 feet. The 2-1. And that'll miss for a ball, but barely. Now 3 balls and a strike. I can't imagine what that must have looked like to go 502 feet.
I can't imagine it happened.
You're not alone. The 3-1. And he'll take ball 4. So Ortiz is on to begin the second inning. And there are many who believe that over the years, they moved it back another row and back another row.
The problem is, if you talk about that and you say it's not possible, you get all the people who absolutely love Ted Williams, just ripping you to death. But as a player, when you stand there and look out there, and when you've been here for as many years as I've been here, I've never seen anything come even close to that.
And you've seen some great hitters.
Great, and I'm talking about even in batting practice.
Right. And Ramirez, 288 homers, 48 runs driven in, as he will take a strike. And I love Ted Williams. I read all the books about Ted Williams. I've read all his books. I mean, I love Ted Williams. I still don't see anybody hitting a ball up there.
I don't either. I mean, it's I couldn't reach it throwing it from right field.
Here's the 0-1. Jackie Bradley on deck. Now the next time that Big Papi comes up, we might do? We have a wireless camera, which means we can send it up there to that red seat.
Right.
Just so you can get a look how far it is back to home plate, which isn't a view that everybody sees or gets. 2-1 now on Ramirez.
But my feeling always was when I played here, when I saw a left-handed hitter hit the ball over the bullpen areas, that ball was crushed. That was my opinion from second base. Now we're talking about another, I don't know how many feet, that I've never seen anything in the world come close to that.
Talking about another area code. Ortiz leading and popped up foul off first base. Belt ranging, but no play for him into the camera well. Gary Striewski had an opportunity there, I thought, to maybe make that play. Striker.
I saw it coming, bearing down, but there was some obstruction next to me. They were just doing their job. I tried to make the play. My bad. My bad.
Nice try, though, Striker. At least you gave it an effort. Most people duck the other way.
I stared danger straight in the face. Danger 1.
Most people look the other way, like us up here. No score in the second, and the 2-2. Ball 3.
That's a tough pitch to lay off for Hanley Ramirez. That fastball down very close to being a strike inside. Very tough to hit, very tough to take. Fortunately, just off the inside corner for Ramirez.
He's faced Kane a lot as Bradley waits on deck. 13 for 47, 277, 2 homers, and gets a piece of that one. Hanley in his days with the Dodgers, of course. Getting to see Kane frequently. Kane, the only current Giant who was on the roster the last time that San Francisco played here at Fenway Park in 2007. That was a 3-game Red Sox sweep. He took a tough loss to Daisuke, 1-0. He went 7 innings. High fly ball that's driven deep to right field. Williamson back to the bullpen, leaps into the pen, and it's gone. They both are. And the Red Sox take the lead 2-0. Hanley Ramirez going yard to the opposite field. And he carried the right fielder for the Giants into the bullpen with the baseball.
Now Hanley Ramirez right there shows you how strong he is, taking that ball to the opposite field into the Red Sox bullpen. A fastball away from him. Outside part of the plate. Gets the barrel of the bat out. and takes it deep into the Red Sox bullpen. What an effort out here by Williamson as he goes jumping into the Red Sox bullpen. He's okay. And Robbie Ross actually caught that. So that makes 5.5 that he's caught this season. He has topped his limit.
He's won the bet as Jackie Bradley fouls that away. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience. For every Red Sox homer this season, Speedway donates $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. All summer long, you get any size fountain or frozen drink for just 69 cents. Tommy Lane had bet him it would not exceed 4 catches for Robbie Ross out there. As you mentioned, 5.5. They're only counting one Brock Holt home run as a half because it hit the top of the bullpen fence before it went in.
So unless I missed something over the weekend, which was Sunday night, that makes 5.5 now for Robbie Ross.
You are correct.
Guys,
he is very proud of that.
I cannot tell you how upset Robbie was about missing the home run last night. I think it was the one that Brock hit. He said he tripped over something on the ground. He had it dead in his sights, stumbled. So that could have been potentially 6.5. But like Robbie Ross always does, redemption, his middle name. Robbie Redemption Ross. It's got a ring to it.
And Hanley powering one to the opposite field for his 9th home run to put the Red Sox in front against Kane. 2-2 to Bradley. Check swing foul. Tried to hold up there.
Well, we like to see Brady to Edelman, don't we? Well, we like to see Hanley Ramirez to Robbie Ross.
That's a big lid he carries around, by the way. Gary, how big is that hat size? Is that like an 8
It
something?
was 7 3/8.
Wow.
And the hint that he gave me was when he bears a ball down, he squares it up like he's in the batter's box. So it kind of just absorbs to him.
Bounded in the shift, and Crawford, the shortstop, will make the stab to get him. Let's go back to that replay on the home run.
You know, actually, Ross, that was a fairly easy one for him. He's made tougher plays than that. But he also had the guy jumping over the fence and falling over the fence to kind of distract him, but he never lost concentration.
Here's Travis Shaw now, 265, 10 homers, 50 runs batted in. 1 man out, 2 runs in. Did you see Steve Horgan out there doing his Big Papi grand slam move as well?
I did notice that.
Yeah. As Hanley hit it, and Williamson went hurtling, and there's another deep drive. Sucked to right, kiss it goodbye, way back there. Man, did he lean into that one, and the Red Sox lead it 3-0. Travis Shaw with number 11.
Oh, did Travis Shaw ever get all of that pitch? It's the fastball from Kane right down the middle of the plate, and look at that contact right on the sweet spot, and no question about it, as soon as he made contact, that ball is about maybe 15 rows up from the bullpen.
And Steve once again giving it that universal sign, she's gone. Sandy Leon hitter. And of course, one of the great all-time Red Sox moments, the Ortiz grand slam, game 2 of the ALCS, chopped foul earlier this season, voted one of the great moments in Sox history. And Steve was all over it. Remember, Torrey Hunter went into the bullpen. Torrey Hunter told us earlier this season he actually suffered a concussion on that play, and no one knew about it at the time when Big Papi crushed that grand slam against the Tigers. Leon was 0 for 3 last night, and now he'll take a seat, called out on strikes on a breaking ball for the second out in the inning.
That good pitch there by Kane. The curveball to the outside part of the plate to pick up the strikeout. You see it starts outside and just barely comes back to pick up the corner.
Red Sox with 2 home runs here in the second inning. That'll send up Brock Holt, who homered last night off of Jake Peavy. He's now hit safely in 8 consecutive games.
You talk about
throwback uniforms. Brock's got the whole deal, man. He's got the socks and everything. Show double blue. The blue between the white stripes and the blue above. That's the old-time uniform right there. They were the best-looking socks in the big leagues.
This is what I grew up with right here.
Yeah, double blue.
Yep.
Got to show double blue.
So you'd go to your local sports department store and try and find those, wear them around the neighborhood as that one is ripped the other way for a base hit. So Brock Holt has made it a 9-game hitting streak. And the Red Sox getting some very good swings against Matt Cain here in the second inning.
Yeah, that's no balls and 2 strikes, and he gets a changeup. So credit Brock Holt there, 0-2, to be able to stay back on the off-speed pitch and take it to the opposite field. That's not a bad pitch. That ball's down and away from Holt, but a beautiful swing. You see the head discipline right on contact.
So Mookie Betts will become the 7th Red Sox batter in the inning. He's 0 for 1 with a pop up to third. One of the interesting things about Mookie is he has yet to score a run in the second half. Red Sox have been winning games nonetheless as he fouls that one back for strike. MLB.TV Premium is everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game of all 30 teams in true high def on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. Albert Suarez already loosening in their bullpen. Another indication they just were not sure what they were going to get out of Cain tonight. And he's getting knocked around in this inning. Down 3-0. Line drive, base hit, right field. Holt takes off. He's going to round and head to third as the throw comes into second base. And the beat goes on for the Red Sox. Another hit.
Well, that's a good job by Mookie Betts. Dave Righetti coming out to have a conversation with Cain, but Betts gets on top of a high fastball. It's all hand discipline. Watch his hands get above the baseball this time and put that ball on a line. That's a pretty swing right there by Mookie Betts. You get underneath that ball, you pop it up. You get the hands on top of it, you put it on a line.
So 2 down. Pedroia will be the batter. Runners at first and third. A long conversation here. Righetti has actually exceeded the clock, which you don't see very often. And he is shooed back to his dugout. Cain came in 1-5, a 5.34 ERA. A lot of injury trouble this year. He's only gone an inning and a third. And he's allowed 3 earned runs. And Pedroia trying to keep the line moving in front of Xander Bogaerts. 0 for 1 with a ground ball to third. And there goes the runner at first. It's in there for a called strike and no throw. Betts down to second with a stolen base.
Yeah, not even an attempted throw because Betts had such a good jump. They were not going to throw through and give that man at third a chance to score. Look at the catch. It doesn't even come out of the crouch. Plus, Betts gets the breaking ball. Didn't even have to slide at second base.
16 steals. He's only been caught once. So it's second and third. And across for a strike on Pedroia. Pedroia was 0 for 3 last night, but he also took a walk, and that means he has reached base in 22 consecutive games. Brock Holt at third. Mookie Betts at second. And 2 down. Cain still in deep trouble in the 0-2. Liner caught by the third baseman Pena. That was fair ball too. And that saved 2 runs. But the Red Sox get 3 runs. Home runs by Hanley Ramirez, number 9 to the opposite field. And Travis Shaw, who got all of that one. A gorgeous swing. 3-0 Boston. Brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. Sox in front here, 3-0 over the San Francisco Giants. And Pomeranz beginning his third inning with some run support and facing Ramiro Pena as we welcome in Alex Spear of 108 Stitches and the Boston Globe into our booth as we do every Wednesday. Great to have you with us.
Good to be here. Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Little pop-up on the infield, and a very busy man is Hanley Ramirez in front of the bag for the out. And one quick out. Now let's talk a little bit about the trade that brought Pomeranz from San Diego and Anderson Espinoza, a very highly regarded low minor league prospect. A lot of fans have been knocking this around. Was it too much to give away to get a guy like Pomeranz? What are your thoughts on that?
It's such an interesting trade because it's the type of deal that you almost never see made. A guy who's controllable for multiple years being dealt for a guy for one prospect. One guy who isn't even close to the major leagues. He's an A-ball right now, at least a couple years away. An incredibly highly regarded talent. An 18-year-old who throws 94 to 100 miles an hour. Who shows a pretty good feel for a breaking ball, who shows what can be a very good changeup. That's the raw materials of a potential front of the rotation starter, but he's so far away that you have no idea what he's going to be. There's a chance he's never in the big leagues. There's injury risk. There's the chance that his performance backs up. There's a chance that he could be a star. And it's the type of challenge trade, challenge may not be quite the right word, but the type of one-for-one trade you almost never see in these settings. So it makes it somewhat unique. And it's a kind of shared risk because Pomeranz himself represents a risk given his limited track record as a starter.
And the multiple teams he has pitched on, as we talked about, the 1-1 on the way and slap foul by Span.
Yeah, Alex, I agree with you. You know, we talked a little bit about it in our view from the booth tonight, and I always go for the making the deal. Because if you get a chance to win a pennant, you try to win a pennant. The Red Sox are a half game out of first place. You're getting deep into the season. There is an opportunity. How many times those opportunities come up? And who knows what's going to happen with an 18-year-old kid? He might be the greatest thing in the world 5 or 6 years from now.
You have an opportunity over those next 5 or 6 years to build the roster in a way that you're able. You might miss him. You might miss him a lot.
Yes.
But you can do other things between now and when he would be major league ready to put yourself in a pretty good position. Now, ultimately, you know, Pomeranz's performance is going to say a lot about whether it's a good deal.
Right. Exactly.
And he has a floor of being a really good left-handed reliever. It looks like he's more than that based on this year. The Padres also seem like they took a pretty good opportunity to sell kind of at the peak of his value, and he has a couple seasons under control. He emerged out of nowhere. He was supposed to be a bullpen guy for San Diego and emerged as an all-star. So that's a pretty the timing was right for them to make this move as well.
And don't you feel like Dave Dombrowski came on board to get the Red Sox back to postseason play? That was job one, to return to the playoffs, get out of the cellar after those last 2 dreadful seasons.
Undoubtedly, there's a considerable amount of value to the present, to the opportunity at hand. It's exactly what you're talking about, Jerry. When you're looking at the possibility that, let's say you get an extra win or 2 wins out of Pomeranz than you would have given the struggles of the 4 and 5 spots in the rotation.
Fly down the line, Holt looking for some room, diving into the stands, but he can't get to it on a foul ball.
That could vault you from, let's say, wild card contention to the AL East. It could vault you from out of the playoffs into the AL East or the wild card. There's enormous value in that for a franchise that's frankly been, you know, kicked a little bit over the last couple of years. They needed to kind of make those moves to reinforce for this season. There is immense value in that. There's also immense value in Espinoza, who they have incredibly high regard for. But it's so interesting because it's all of the risk is caught up in Espinoza. You look at, for instance, the Adrian Gonzalez trade a few years ago. It wasn't the lead prospect in that deal, Casey Kelly, who burned them. It was the second guy, Anthony Rizzo, who ended up really costing them down the road. There is no second guy in this trade.
The 2-2 to Span, and in there for strike 3. Caught him looking back to the breaking ball, which he loves so much. Span may disagree, but he strikes out.
Yeah, I think Span thought this ball might have been a little bit high. We'll take a look at the breaking ball and see where it is. It's a curveball, not as sharp as some of the others, but he must have believed that ball is a little bit high because it did have plenty of the inside corner.
That's a little bit of Rich Hill, the willingness to use that breaking ball at the top of the strike zone. That's pretty interesting. That I think that Pomeranz and Hill over the last couple of years have been as aggressive using their curveball as just about anyone in the game.
That means that Pomeranz is really into spin rate, because I know Rich Hill is.
He can spin it hard.
Yep. Pagan, the batter here, and He takes a strike. How about the other top Red Sox prospects? By the way, Moncada had quite a Futures game. That blew everybody away. How about that home run in the Futures game?
It was incredible, as was the stolen base that he had when he was miles ahead of the throw to second base. He's leading the minor leagues in stolen bases. He's up to 11 homers this year. He is showing a lot of tools. It's just, he hit a ball that probably went 475 feet a couple of days ago, batting left-handed. In the Futures game, it was a monstrous right-handed homer in his first exposure to a big league park. He's impressive.
Pagan 0 for 1. He has lined out to Hanley Ramirez, made a nifty play on it. Red Sox ahead 3-0 as we chat with Alex Spear, and that one ripped into left center field for a base hit. Bradley to cut it off in the alley, and Pagan has hit it hard twice, and he is on with a single, and right in front of Brandon Belt. So when you look at the other Red Sox prospects, do you think there's a good chance the Red Sox are going to hold on to those outside of Espinosa, of course, who's now been dealt for Pomeranz?
I think that Espinosa is the biggest name prospect that they're going to deal this year, and that's an awfully big name prospect. Most circles view him as a top 20 in all of minor league baseball talent. Again, that's not a guarantee of his future performance, but they really wanted to keep Yoan Moncada. They wanted to keep Andrew Benintendi, who's getting close to the big leagues, and even a Rafael Devers represents a pretty important prospect for the Red Sox, because that's a 19-year-old guy who shows power to all fields, which is a pretty rare trait. There's less risk with that kind of prospect profile than there is with an 18-year-old pitcher. So I think that my guess would be that it's going to be a little while before they deal from a prospect above Espinosa.
Very interesting. 2 down and a runner aboard. It's popped up here by Bell, who is 0 for 1 with a ground out to first base. Dave Dombrowski busier than any other general manager around the first half, at the end of the first half.
He got in front of a lot of these deals, and I've talked to some people around the baseball community, especially about the trade for Brad Ziegler, which obviously has anticipated a huge need for the Red Sox in this month. And they were honestly astonished that he was able to get Ziegler for the 2 minor league prospects, again, A-ball guys, that he did in Jose Almonte and Luis Alejandro Basabe.
0-2 is down and in on Belt, really scuffling. He's 0 for his last 17 with 8 strikeouts.
There's actually a running joke in some major league circles. Luis Alejandro Basabe is a second baseman shortstop who is in Greenville. He's the twin brother of another Red Sox prospect, Luis Alexander Basabe, and there's some thought that the Diamondbacks thought that they were getting the one Basabe and accidentally asked for the other one. I think that might be more urban legend than anything.
I love the story, though. Here's the 1-2 pitch from the left-hander. Cut on and missed. He gets him. Another strikeout of Brandon Belt. 1 hit in the inning, 1 left. Alex, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.
Always great to get inside deep on the minor league system, a specialty of Mr. Spears. 3-0 Red Sox. 47 and NESN come together in Big Papi's final season, sharing stories and experiences with Red Sox Nation. Visit 47's Instagram to see what we're up to. I watched that episode earlier today, taking Big Papi back to his days in the Dominican Republic. It's outstanding stuff. And a real insight as to what drove him to get to the major leagues, and so many from the Dominican to reach the big league levels. Xander Bogaerts 0 for 1. He has popped out foul to first. Red Sox in front here 3-0 over San Francisco. Matt Cain still out there for his third frame. Ortiz on deck, and then Hanley Ramirez. The Red Sox have not had sole possession of first place since the end of play on the 4th of June, and have a chance to be back in first tonight by themselves by half a game. The Yankees do have a 1-0 lead over Baltimore in the 4th inning as the Sox lead here.
The Yankees all of a sudden playing pretty good baseball since beating the Red Sox on Sunday night.
2-1 waved at and missed on the sharp curveball. Cain was quite durable early in his career. He had not gone on the DL in any of his first 8 seasons, but the last couple of years he's been on the disabled list a lot. In fact, the last 4 years he's been on the DL 8 times. It's been very up and down this year when he has been healthy. 4 2/3, 8, 4 innings, then 7, all over the map. 3-2 on Bogaerts, who has been chilly with the bat. But there's a base hit. He's 1 for 2. And let's go to Gary Striewski up near the Ted Williams seat.
Guys, we had 2 minutes to get here, so myself and Brian were sweating, but 38 rows into the bleachers, we have arrived 502 feet as the beach balls come raining down, and a baseball years ago came raining up this seat, the famed red seat, where fortunately for us, nobody's sitting in today. So guys, this is a trek. Can you please send me some oxygen? Because really, we're legitimately out of breath.
Wow.
And David Ortiz is going to come pay us a visit, hopefully with home run number 24 on the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he does, then I'll believe.
Perfect. I'm trying to make a believer out of you, Jerry, so
I'm telling you,
here.
I mean, can you see home plate from there?
Hold on. Yeah, barely. Yeah, barely.
Jerry's not the only one you have to convince, as Ortiz, who walked and scored, takes a ball.
Whew. That was some serious steerage, guys.
Look at that.
I'll tell you what, Gary, if you
Quads
take
are
yourself down about 20 rows, 25 rows, that's where Travis Shaw hit his.
Perfect. We're going to pay that place a visit as soon as I catch my breath. Oh, you guys showing. Check out that 40 speed. I know Julian Edelman's in the building, so he's got to be impressed with those wheels.
Yeah.
And you got all kind of junk on you, too. You got the carrying stuff on your back and your neck.
How about Brian, our camera guy? He's like Tenzing Norgay here.
It's easier for him. He has shorts on. These things are like hugging my legs, weighing me down. Here we go.
Shot to center field, backing up Span, still on the run. On the track, he's there to make the play. It's the second time in 2 nights that Ortiz has sent him all the way back there. Span making the grab for the out.
That ball struck very well by David Ortiz, but Spanman able to go back to the warning track, make the play. David went in that direction last night with one that looked like it was going to go out of the ballpark, but the wind at that time kept it in. I'll tell you, got to give Bryman credit for running up there with that camera. I mean, you know, Gary's got all the earpiece and all that stuff, but look at Bryman. He's got the camera, and he's got to run up there following Gary.
He's lugging it. That is up there.
Bright guy, bright man, bright guy. I mean, you know, it's bright guy.
Or just Brian. Ramirez with a 2-run homer into the bullpen in the second inning. Red Sox in front 3-0 in the third. Xander Bogaerts aboard at first base. He's running, and it's fouled at home plate. Is Gary being ejected from that seat? He's negotiating here. Are you being tossed out, Gary?
Well, no, I have a question. Do they sell this seat? Because I was actually shocked that nobody was in this seat. My dude to my left is also shocked.
I think I've seen people sitting in that seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to evict anybody, but I'm glad I didn't have to. They do sell it.
I think they do sell it, yeah. I don't think it's open. Just tonight, up and in on Hanley, and a count 1-1 Jackie Bradley on deck.
A little bit of a purpose pitch right there. You know, you got a guy that takes him deep to the opposite field last time on an outside pitch. Well, this time he runs it inside to Hanley to get him off the plate a little bit. Make him aware of the inside part of the plate.
Well, Bogaerts was on the move. Here's the 1-1. And he'll look him back. Red Sox looking for the 2-game sweep of the San Francisco Giants. They split with the Giants out west earlier this season. And Kane ready to toss on over.
Well, it looks like Xander wants to go. He's got himself a big lead, and I thought he was leaning a little bit. Had a little bit of weight on that right leg to try to pivot and get to second base.
Giants have lost 4 in a row. They still own the major's best record, though, at 57-37. The latest by calendar date that San Francisco has owned that distinction since 2000. Runner goes, and it's fouled back again. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing at DraftKings right now. Play free daily using the promo code NESSN at DraftKings.com.
Now Bogaerts again taking off to second base, and you know we had a good shot of him, had a very big lead. He was kind of leaning in that direction, almost giving it away a little bit. But the Red Sox feel like it can run on Kane. This combination of Kane and Brown. So Betts go earlier. There was no throw on him, and Bogaerts has taken off a couple of times.
1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
And taking your pitch off that time. Maybe he'll go on the 2-2 count.
With the home run, Ramirez has now hit safely in his last 10 games at home. Over his last 18 games overall, he's hitting over 340. And we'll see if in the second half his power picks up. Now 9 home runs. Here's a high fly ball deep into left center field. Back it goes, and that ball is out of here. He's done it again, his second 2-run homer in tonight's game, and that'll make it 5-0. I would say his power is picking up. Wow. Number 10 for Hanley. Well, he's had quite a night with a couple of outstanding defensive plays and now 2 blasts.
Yeah, he's having a great night. This time he gets the fastball in, and what does he do? He takes it to center field. If we could get back-to-back shots of his 2 home runs, it'd be great, because you'll see where one pitch is away, he takes it to the opposite field, and then he gets one out over the plate and takes it to straightaway center field.
The Red Sox with 3 home runs in the last 2 innings to send Kane to the showers. This call of the bullpen is brought to you by Kia. Red Sox 5 and the Giants nothing. third innings, and he is out as the Red Sox knock him around to the tune of 5 runs and 6 hits. So Suarez is out of the bullpen. He was the man who made 6 starts in place of Kane when he was on the disabled list. Went 1-0 with a .413 earned run average. And takes over for the starter very quickly. And once again, that has quieted the Giant fans. Hanley Ramirez, his 2nd home run tonight. As Jackie Bradley stands in 0 for 1 with a tapper to short. Jackie started a double play last night in center field. 8-4-3, his 10 assists to lead all major league center fielders. He tried to hold up, but he went around, a swing and a miss. Travis Shaw, who hit a long home run his first time up, is on deck. 1 out in the 2-1. And popped him up, a twisting foul out of play. You go back to the start of 2014, Jackie has been part of 12 double plays. That leads all major league outfielders over that span. So right in that Gold Glove conversation, as you knew he would be. Here's the 2-2. That one pulled down the line. Onto the grass. Williamson cuts it off right at the track. Bradley heading for second base and standing up with a double.
Let's take a look at Hanley Ramirez's 2 home runs tonight, and you look at the location of the pitches. First of all, the one away that he goes to the opposite field. That was a mistake. It was supposed to be in. Now this is also a mistake. That was supposed to be away. It stays inside, and Hanley takes it to straightaway center field. So 2 mistakes by Kane, and Hanley jumps on both of them. One to the opposite field where it should go on that pitch. One to straightaway center where that pitch should go.
His 3rd and 4th career home runs against Kane. Travis Shaw hit number 11, a no-doubter in the 2nd inning. After going 0 for 3 last night, he has Jackie Bradley at second base and 1 gone. Red Sox ahead 5-0. And outside for a ball. Red Sox are trying to get to a season high 14 over 500. As Suarez delivers the 1-0, and a breaking ball sinks in there on the corner.
No fastball yet to Travis Shaw. A changeup, then a breaking ball to start off against Shaw.
Sandy Leon on deck. Red Sox wearing their throwback 1975 uniforms here tonight. And high and tight for a ball. He's talking with Jim Rice, a Hall of Famer today, about the 75 team. And he was going position by position. You know, starting with Pudge behind the plate, talking about Carl Yastrzemski and Fred Lynn and, you know, himself and Dewey Evans and everybody else. And you're like, yeah, that was some ball club. That was
a pretty good team.
A juggernaut offensively. 2-1. Lashed foul. NESN is proud to support the Men's Wearhouse National Suit Drive in July. When you make a donation of gently used professional clothing at any Men's Wearhouse location, you help men and women look their best as they re-enter the workforce. Learn more at nationalsuitdrive.com. 2-2 on Travis as Bradley digs out his lead at second. And popped him up into short left. Crawford out, coming on Pagan, and Pagan will make the one-handed catch for out number 2. So it'll be up to Sandy Leon to pick up this run from second base.
See, pointing to the sky right there was Pagan. Very tough to pick up the baseball. It's twilight right now at Fenway Park, and I'll tell you, if you take your eye off the baseball or lose it, very little chance you're going to pick it up again. And that's exactly what Pagan was telling Crawford after making that catch.
Leon 0 for 1. He was caught looking on a 3rd strike in the 2nd. So he's hitless in his last 6 at bats, and the way he's been swinging the bat, that's a slump. down to 424. Brock Holt would follow, given the opportunity. Bradley at second with 2 away. And 2 more runs in. Andy Ramirez has driven in 4 runs on a pair of homers. And that one driven. Left center, span back, turning down, and is off the wall. Bradley is in to score. It caroms to the warning track. Leon wants 3, and he's going to get 3. That is the first triple of his career. And the Red Sox are out in front 6-0.
Yeah, there's a slump breaker right there, Dave. You mentioned no hits in his last 6 at-bats, and he takes that changeup and wants to carom. It comes off the wall. Completely fooled it on span. It rolls way to his right, and that's going to allow Sandy Leon to get into third base with the triple. That's a tough way to play off the wall because you're not sure it's going to hit the wall. It hits right at the bottom and then goes right by the center fielder. Kicks back the other way.
And sends up Brock Holt. Another big inning for the Red Sox. He's 1 for 1 with a base hit to run his hitting streak to 9 in a row. And Drew Pomeranz is saying, I like this. All this run support in his first start for the Red Sox at Fenway. A 6-0 lead. And Holt trying to add to that. And fouled off. Time now to see who's been driving the ball, presented by Toyo Tires. Brock Holt, 9 games this month. He's gotten hot again, up to .393 with 4 doubles, 2 homers. Toyo Tires is the official tire of the Boston Red Sox. Holt hitting .343 with men in scoring position. He has a man at third. 2 balls, 1 strike. Mookie Betts on deck. Red Sox, each of the last 2 innings have sent a lot of men to the plate. 8 men in the second, and 7 now here in the third. Two and two to count on Brock Holt. Brock with a home run last night, his 5th. That's a new career high for him. Ball has been flying here tonight for the Red Sox anyway. They have 6 runs and 8 hits already. And Holt will ask for time and get it. Sandy Leon 90 feet away. There are 2 down. And the 2-2. Line to left field down into the corner. That's going to take a bounce up into the wall. Another run is in. Brock Holt with another hit. 7-0 Boston. A double for Brock Holt. He's 2 for 2.
What a difference Brock Holt makes in this Red Sox lineup. I mean, you put him in that 9 spot. It's like having a leadoff hitter in the 9 hole. He gets that. That's not that bad a pitch. I mean, it's elevated a little bit, but it's on the outside part of the plate. And Holt just lines it, tailing it away from the left field to down the left field line. So the 8 and 9 guys, Leon with the triple, Holt with the double, 2 more runs in.
And Mookie Betts, who is 1 for 2 with a single. Seven runs in already for the Sox. And a bullet to left field. It'll keep on going up against the green. Another run scoring. Holt churning in. Betts wants 2. He slides in with a double. 8-0, and the line keeps on moving.
This is pretty impressive what you're watching tonight, because you're seeing guys. I mean, you see Mookie Betts in his second at bat go take to the opposite field for a base hit. Now he gets a breaking ball on the outside part of the plate and hooks it. He's out on his front foot, but his hands stay back. That's the key. This is quite a show the Red Sox offense is putting on right now.
Hits in the inning by Bogarts, Ramirez, Bradley, Leon, Holt, and now Betts.
I mean, there has really been some good hitting in this inning. You're talking about guys, hitting the ball where it's pitched. And it pitches in, they're pulling it. Pitches away, they're going to the opposite field. Pitches middle, they're going to center field. It's pretty impressive.
And so far, it is a 20-minute half inning of Red Sox hitting. For the Giants, it feels like about 2 hours. And the Sox in front 8-0. And Pedroia trying to make it 9-0. He has grounded to third and lined out sharply to Pena at third base. And he'll take ball one. So Pedroia becomes the 9th Red Sox hitter here in the third. Betts ready to score. Yankees now in front of the Orioles 2-0 in the fourth. Long inning for Suarez out of the bullpen, and he deals a strike at 93 right at the knee. Extra base hits in the inning by Hanley Ramirez, a home run, Jackie Bradley a double, Leon with a triple, Holt with a double, Betts with a double. And the Red Sox have hit for the cycle in the inning. Little dribbler, Brown to scoop and fire, and he gets him, and that is finally out number 3. But the Red Sox bashing the baseball here in the third as they pile up 5 more runs and now lead it 8-0. And Garrett Austin supporting the 2016 Run to Home Base presented by New Balance. Money raised will help fund clinical care and counseling for veterans and their families. For more information on how to participate, visit runtohomebase.org. Well, Mr. Pomeranz just got welcomed big time to Fenway Park. He's got himself an 8-0 lead, Jerry.
Well, I'm sure he's calmed down by now. He's got the first couple of innings under his belt, and he's got an 8 spot up there on his side.
Going to work against Posey here in the 4th inning. Buster Posey 0 for 1 with a fly to center. Red Sox just sent 9 men to hit, scoring 5 times on 6 hits. And it built an 8-0 lead over the San Francisco Giants, the team with the best record in baseball coming in. They certainly have some injuries. Hunter Pence is out. Joe Panik is out. But they're flat offensively, according to their manager, and they've shown that in this series. The Red Sox certainly have not been. As Posey lays off, and that's a ball. He is 6 for 14 lifetime against Pomeranz. Outstanding catcher. He's the DH tonight. He's caught 3 no-hitters in his career. And he'll take down low for a ball. Certainly not the way Pomeranz wanted to begin the inning, as he walks the leadoff man. Well, don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. TC and Steve Lyons will break it all down. You'll hear from Drew Pomeranz and from John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Who but WB Mason?
You know, sometimes when you sit in the dugout, as long as Pomeranz did and watch his team put up 5 runs, you come out a little bit rusty. And the last thing he wanted to do with an 8-0 lead is walk that leadoff man here in the 4th inning.
It was 26 minutes between the time he threw his last pitch. But he walks Posey nonetheless. And here's Crawford, who tore into a double in the 2nd inning. One of just 2 hits so far for San Francisco. Crawford grew up just outside San Francisco. His family very serious Giants fans. He was 9 months old when his dad took him to a Giants playoff game at Candlestick Park.
I hope he dressed him warm because that place was brutal.
Awful.
Oh.
Awful. Around the 5th inning every night. I did a lot of games there too, and that fog would start rolling in. It would drop about 20 degrees.
It was terrible.
The wind would kick up. You know, hot dog wrappers all around the ballpark. 1-1 chop foul. I'm sure he loved it. His family was season ticket holders and huge Giant fans, but with their new place is heaven. AT&T Park. Williamson on deck. One ball and 2 strikes on Crawford, who did homer 21 times last year. Floats this one. Here comes Jackie Bradley, but he has to pull up and play it on a bounce. It'll be a single, and Crawford is 2 for 2. So 1st and 2nd for San Francisco. Get expert emergency care without leaving the ballpark at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, the first aid station at Fenway, located behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. Visit bidmc.org. So Pomeranz with a shaky start to the 4th inning, a walk and a base hit. Now a guy who can do some damage if he runs into one. Williamson struck out in the 2nd inning. Nobody out in the 4th. 8-0 Boston. And a ball down and in. We talked about the baseball lines in the family for Pomeranz. His brother Drew, his older brother, was a professional as well, a pro pitcher. Pitched for 5 years in the St. Louis Cardinals system. He has now retired. And he had a great grandfather who did pitch in the majors back in the 1920s. Size is in the family. He's 6'6", 240. And a 2-0. That was a home run swing by Williamson as he came up empty on the cutter.
Yeah, he's sitting on a fastball. Didn't get it. Got the cut fastball instead that time, and no contact with the big swing. Trying to get 3 quick ones back on the board. There's the cut fastball. A little bit of a break right at the last minute. Or last second, I should say.
The 2-1 from the lefty, and he misses. 3 balls and a strike. So he is a little rusty here after the long sit. Here comes Bogaerts over for a consultation.
Yeah, it's one of those conversations where you just kind of say, you know, make him hit the balls, let him swing the bat, let us make the plays behind you.
So it's Posey at second, Crawford at first. And Pomeranz looking for a ground ball right at somebody. 3-1. High fly ball. That's well hit. Racing back, Betts headed to the bullpen. It sails, and she is gone. A 3-run homer for Williamson. His 5th of the season. And the Giants get on the board, and it is now 8-3 Red Sox. One ugly start to the 4th inning for Drew Pomeranz.
Yeah, base on balls has started off a base hit, and then the home run right there, taking it into the Red Sox bullpen. Actually over the bullpen by a couple of rows.
So that ends the Red Sox pitching staff streak of 29 scoreless innings. Going back to that last game against Tampa Bay at the end of the first half, in there for a strike on Grant Green, who's 0 for 1. Nothing good ever comes of a leadoff walk.
No.
So San Francisco getting back in the game here. Now down by 5. It breathes a little life into these Giant fans who have not had a whole lot to cheer about in this series. And that will be outside. 2 balls and a strike on Green.
Tries his curveball back to back and almost in the exact same spot, the second and third pitch away.
2-1. He's gone to 3 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, back to the cut fastball and try to get a strike. Can't get that pitch over right now.
Trevor Brown, another light hitter, hitting in the 240s, up next. But Williamson was only hitting 222 coming into the game. Is that one a slice foul? He just hit a bomb. We saw him homer in San Francisco against David Price to win that game. That was the winning run in a 2-1 victory. Here's the 3-2 coming. And a rocket, but foul. That one up into the Coca-Cola section very quickly. A lot of Giant fans up there too.
Yeah, Giant fans all up and down the third base line, upstairs, downstairs. They're everywhere.
A lunging looper, and that's going to drop down for a base hit. So Green is aboard, and the first 4 have reached here for San Francisco in the 4th inning, and that's going to bring a mound visit. Now, the Massachusetts Highway Safety Division would like to remind you there are too many fatal crashes caused by drivers under the influence. When you're out having fun, remember that driving buzzed or high is never an option. Take a taxi, Uber, or the T. What's your plan? So Willis out after walk, a single, a 3-run homer, and another base hit.
Yeah, right now Willis is trying to get Pomerantz back on the plan of the first 3 innings, where he put zeros on the board, but this inning has not gotten out yet.
Next man in will be the 8-hitter Trevor Brown, who struck out looking in the 2nd inning. San Francisco trying to fight back and snap a 4-game losing skid. Meanwhile, they've gone to the 5th inning at Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees still lead the Orioles 2-0. Toronto beat up on Arizona earlier today, 10-4. They started the afternoon a game and a half out. The Blue Jays did. There's a high fly ball into left field, headed for the very top of that sign, and it's a 2-run homer. That will make it 8-5 Boston. And suddenly it has gotten very cozy here.
Yeah, how quickly this has changed, and big time power this inning. Williamson going to the opposite field with a 3-run shot. Brown pulling the ball very deep to left field on a straight fastball that time, right over the heart of the plate.
And Drew Pomerantz is not fooling anybody. Another one smashed. And suddenly a 3-run game brings up Ramiro Pena, who's 0 for 1. And Span will be up after him.
And very quickly, Red Sox getting action down in the bullpen. Robbie Ross Jr.
The Red Sox handed Pomerantz an 8-0 lead on a silver platter. And that one popped foul back out of play by Pena. When it started out by walking Posey, that was a bad sign. Putting the first man on after they gave him an 8-0 advantage. Dribbled toward third base, charging in Shaw. Man can't make the play. Pena's going to be out with a base hit.
Now, when stuff starts to go bad, it's tough to stop the bleeding. And that time, a little dribbler down the third base line, almost a swinging bunt. And the only option that Travis Shaw had was to go to the bare hand. He can't connect with it. And even if he does, I don't believe it was going to be an out at first base anyway.
Yeah, it'll be a base hit.
Very slow walk out to the mound by Sandy Leon, trying to get the Ross very quickly ready out in that bullpen.
So Pomeranz has allowed the first 6 men to reach base here in the 4th inning. His pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. And it certainly doesn't feel like he's going to be in the game the requisite 5 innings as Ross is getting ready in a hurry. Here's denied Span. He has walked and struck out looking. Nobody out, and another base runner for the Giants here in the 4th.
Those throw the first base too. Those are called from the dugout because what they're trying to do is give Robbie Ross time to get loose. May see another throw to first base.
In the inning for San Francisco, a 3-run homer and a 2-run homer to get back in it.
Now we got to see a cut fastball.
The Red Sox fans and Giants fans are going back and forth in waves. Sounds like a soccer match here. Shows bunt, drops it down. Leon will have to stick it in his back pocket. Span with a base hit. And another base runner for San Francisco.
Now that's a good play by Span. Farrell wants to get him out of there right now. He's trying to find out if he's ready or not, and he is. And here comes John Farrell. But that's a good play by Denard Span. I mean, they got the Red Sox on the ropes right now. Keep the pressure on. Get another base runner. I mean, it's not a terrific bunt, but nobody expected it. And from, by the time Leon gets there, he's got no chance at all.
What a turn of events here. Pomeranz is out of the game. He does not get it out in the 4th inning. The first 7 men reach, and he is done for the night. The Red Sox with an 8-5 lead have to go to the bullpen. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Billy and Jenny take on a journey at the intersection of where sports and dining meet. Dining Playbook and Nesson, driven by New England Chevy dealers. Red Sox looked like they were cruising, but Pomeranz falls apart. He does not get an out in this inning. 7 consecutive base runners. And on comes Ross, the left-hander, with runners at first and second, nobody out. And facing Pagan, who has gone 1 for 2 with a base hit, and he's also lined to first base, and it's in there for a strike. Ross coming in with an ERA of 4.31. He needed 2 pitches to get Green to bounce into a double play in the 7th inning last night. Coming on much earlier here tonight. Still just the 4th inning. Pena at second, Span after that bunt on at first base. And the 0-1 pitch to the number 2 hitter. Now that fell apart in the blink of an eye on Pomeranz, didn't it?
It certainly did, and it all started with a walk here in the 4th inning. You got the 8-0 lead and walked the leadoff man, and it was all downhill after that.
Walk, single, 3-run homer, base hit, 2-run homer, and then back-to-back singles. 2 strikes on Pagan. And lined up the middle, caught by Pedroia, back to second on time for the double play. But what a play, as he stole one from Pagan.
Wow. I'll tell you, when that ball left the bat, I didn't think there was any chance at all that anybody was going to make a play on that. Looked like another base hit. Look at Pedroia. Notice how he's going back to his position, still able to regroup and go back and get that line drive. And almost gets a double play. Pagan can't believe it. He thought he had himself a base hit.
He's not alone.
The thing that impressed me about that from Pedroia is he was kind of moving to the opposite direction. He was holding the man on, moving back to his position, had to go back to his right to make the catch.
Belt unloading, looking for another 3-run homer in this inning. Pedroia with an outstanding move up the middle. Belt is the 9th Giant to bat here in the top of the 4th. They have scored 5 times in the inning. He thought about it, but he stayed away. He's in a deep slump right now.
I'll tell you what, if the Red Sox go on to win this game, and there is a long way to go, you may look back at that play right there, because if that ball goes into center field, it's another run. It's an 8-6 ball game. There's still nobody out in the inning.
1-1. High fly ball twisting into center. Bradley backing up. He has room to make the play. Pena will tag. He'll advance from second to third as the throw comes in, and that is out number 2. And now the man who started it all about to dig in, Buster Posey, who took the walk to lead off the inning by Pomeranz. Runners on the corners now for San Francisco. 8-5 Red Sox. And the Sox will have due up in the bottom of the 4th inning Bogaerts, Ortiz, and Ramirez. It has turned into a slugfest. So Posey up for the 2nd time here in the 4th.
So Torey Lovullo giving signs to Sandy Leon, and now he's giving signs to the infielders in case there's a steal where he's going to throw the ball. And where he's going to throw the ball would be obviously through to second base if there was an attempted steal.
Posey, the designated hitter tonight for San Francisco for the 4th time this season. And Ross's first one is in there for a strike at 87. Sox with bullpen activity. Heath Hembree, and going to have to lean on the bullpen an awful lot tonight. Both sides will. Here's the 0-1. Moves him back with a fastball 94 miles an hour. Posey came into the series hitting .366 in his last 28 games. First and third for San Francisco, and 5 runs in. 2-1. Another manager, Bruce Bochy, was imploring them to wake up offensively here at Fenway Park. I think they've done it here in the 4th inning.
Now 5 runs to get back in the ball game. Certainly new life for the Giants in this one with plenty of game left.
Ross home with a 2-1 to Posey. Hard hit. Down for it. Bogaerts crosses body and got the out at second base. as Pedroia held the bag to finally retire the side. A gruesome inning, though, as the Giants are back in it. They score 5, 8-5 Red Sox. Sox season. And in game number 92, the Red Sox would lose to the Athletics 5-2. Bruce Hurst took the defeat, and Dwight Evans accounted for the Red Sox offense with his 13th home run. Plenty of offense in this one tonight. Williamson with a big shot to bring them back in it, now 8-5. And Xander Bogaerts leading things off here in the last half of the 4th inning. So both teams have had a half inning where they have batted around. The Red Sox in the bottom of the 3rd, the Giants in the top half of this inning.
Well, belt way off that line at first base for the Giants. Almost halfway to second base.
Xander 1 for 2 with a base hit. And he rockets that one down the line, but he will pull it foul.
Bogaerts out in front of the breaking ball that time and hooking it into the seats down that left field line. So far, the Red Sox have seen the fastball, the breaking ball, changeup from Suarez.
Ortiz on deck, and then Hanley Ramirez was belted 2 home runs tonight. The 1-2. Hard hit. Nice stab there by Pena, up and throwing. And it's bobbled. It's off the glove. It's going to roll into right field. And Xander Bogaerts is shaken up. And here comes John Farrell quickly out with a trainer. That one actually got him. That struck him.
Yeah, right in the side of the head, as you can see right there, right in the flap, the ear flap. And it stunned Bogaerts. He was actually heading towards second base in that direction and had to get back to first base before he was tagged, or he would have been out.
They're going to rule that a base hit for Xander Bogaerts, so he is on, but we'll see if he can continue.
There's the contact right there, and Bogaerts, watch him take a couple of steps toward the outfield, going in the opposite direction. And when you do that, you've got to get back to the bag. So Bogaerts, even though he's stunned, you can see him leaning towards second base. He's going to get back to that bag, because if he's tagged, he's going to be out.
Now they're running through, I'm sure, the concussion tests right now. Checking his responses there, see if he can hang in, as he got drilled, and he is going to continue. Tough way to get a base hit. But he's aboard here to begin the last half of the fourth inning in front of David Ortiz, who has walked and flied to center. 8-5 Red Sox in the last half of the fourth. Ortiz with a walk and a run. He was on in front of Hanley Ramirez when Hanley hit his first home run in the second inning. Ortiz with a 3-run homer of his own last night. That's ball one. That home run for David was his 100th hit of the season. Red Sox now have 4 guys who have at least 100 hits, along with Big Papi, Betts, Bogaerts, and Pedroia. They lead the majors with that many guys who have 100 hits. Suarez 1-0 pitch is tagged foul. Next Tuesday is Bill Papi night at Fenway. The first 15,000 in attendance receive a Bill Papi kit courtesy of Coca-Cola. They'll turn fans into their favorite designated hitter. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/promos. Each of Ortiz's last 4 hits at Fenway Park have been home runs.
And an outfield very, very deep for the Giants, all the way around. Left field, center field, right field.
And the right-hander's 1-1. And the breaking ball bends too low. 2-1 on David Ortiz, hitting .326 with 23 homers, 75 driven in, and 58 extra base hits. Two-one pitch. He pops it foul on a play.
I see David's expression there, shaking his head. He'd like to have that pitch again. He got his pitch. He got a fastball right down the middle of the plate and fouled it off. And he knows he missed that one.
Ortiz, as of tonight, is now past Tony Gwynn for 97th place on the all-time scoring list. Nobody out. Xander Bogaerts on, and the Red Sox leading by 3. Felt like 10 minutes ago it was 8-0. And a 2-2. He checks his swing. They do appeal, and no swing, says Tim Timmons.
Now let's see here. 3-2 count. No guarantee that Ortiz is going to get a fastball on the 3-2 count.
3-2 on Ortiz. Suarez very deliberate here. The runner goes, and it's fouled back. What a cut there on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, he did get a fastball, but it was a good one. It was up and away from Ortiz, and that's a pitch that he's actually fortunate that he fouled off. See the bat speed, though, that Ortiz still has.
Every 40-year-old guy has that kind of bat. Every one of them. Ramirez on deck. Bogaerts was running on the last 3-2 pitch, so they throw over. Red Sox got 3 runs in the second inning, 5 in the third inning. It looked like they were in cruise control, but then Pomeranz came apart and gave up 5 runs.
Catcher doesn't know what he's going to throw right now. I think he's going to throw a fastball away.
Runner takes off and a high pop foul lifted toward the stands down the left field line and out of play.
That was interesting because the catcher put down a sign. It looked like Suarez shook him off. He put down another sign, but then the pitcher started to pitch, so I'm not sure. Watch Brown. Puts down a sign, shakes that off, puts that down. He doesn't know what he's going to throw. He puts his hands up. He wanted to throw the fastball away.
It's pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
Not sure what's coming. Bogaerts was running again. Takes off once more. And a shattered bat, foul ball. A big end of that bat rolling out toward the second baseman, Green. Tumbling toward him. Big shard of wood.
And as soon as contact was made there, Belt, the first baseman, was heading in the other direction because the barrel of the bat was heading out in his direction.
So a new bat for Ortiz. 3-2. Pretty good battle here between David Ortiz and Albert Suarez, who had to relieve Kane in the third inning. Bogaerts has taken off on the last few pitches. Running again. And a ground ball. Backing up now, Green. He'll throw across his body to get the out, and Bogaerts is safely down to second.
That's been quite a night for Hanley Ramirez so far tonight, defensively and offensively. Let's look at the defense first, as he's able to go to his right to make a play, and then to his left to save a run. And then the offense. Watch the mislocation of pitches. They want the fastball in. It's away. Hanley takes it to the opposite field. Now they want the fastball away. In his next at bat, it stays in, and Hanley goes to straightaway center field.
Big night for Ramirez so far.
2-run homer in the second, 2-run homer in the third. And now another man in scoring position for him at second base. And one away. Red Sox leading it 8-5 here in the fourth. It's turned into a wild one at Fenway. And Suarez in no hurry. Hanley up to 284. And now to double figures in home runs. Jackie Bradley on deck. And a right-hander who's taken all night out there steps off the rubber.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, Bogaerts doesn't have an exceptionally big lead, and he's being held on by Grant Green, the second baseman. It's almost like he's unclear what he wants to throw to Hanley.
One man out, and finally he picks out a sign and buries it for ball one. Both starters out of the game. Kane lasted 2 1/3. Pomerantz did not get an out in the fourth inning and coughed up 5 runs and 8 hits after being handed an 8-0 lead in his Red Sox debut. Suarez with another long look in. Chop foul off third base. And so it's a ball and a strike on Ramirez. Entire civilizations have risen and fallen in the time it takes Suarez to deliver a pitch.
He is very, very deliberate out there, to say the least.
And again takes a sign, and the 1-1. And he drills him. So Ramirez, who has hit a pair of home runs, probably feeling like there was absolute intent there. Now the warnings by the home plate umpire to both dugouts. They'll put runners at first and second with one away.
Hanley having a few words too for Suarez as he walks out to first base. The warnings are given out, and John Farrell saying, why are we getting warned? Right off the elbow padding. Now we'll watch Hanley look right back out at the mound and continues to stare out there as he walks down to first base. I don't know if he says anything or not. I'll get you back. Looked like he said, I'll get you back, right?
I think so. So this has taken on a tone.
Yeah, this has been some night.
Looked like a walk in the park when the Sox went out in front 8-0. Giants came storming back to get 5, and now some added drama. Well, the Red Sox with a chance indeed to make Suarez pay here. Jackie Bradley next, with runners on first and second base. He has doubled and scored. He's also grounded out to short. And the ball has been flying here. Total of 19 hits for the two clubs combined.
It's almost automatic now, isn't it, that every time one team is worn, the other team is automatically worn too. They warn both dugouts.
I'm not a big fan of that.
I'm not either.
Inside for a ball. Your guy may want to throw inside if he hits somebody accidentally, and this certainly looked like a purpose pitch.
It did. It did.
But if your guy wants to throw inside, he happens to hit somebody, he's going to be automatically ejected.
Exactly.
The 1-0 to Jackie. That'll be in for a strike. They're going to get the left-hander Javier Lopez going in the bullpen for San Francisco. We are going to see a lot of bullpen guys tonight before this one is done. It's only the bottom of the fourth. And a 1-1, top back to the hill. Suarez fires and got the out as Crawford held the bag to retire Hanley. Bogart's down to third base. And Jackie Bradley becomes a runner at first base.
Right now the Red Sox are checking that on replay to see if there was contact with the bag, and apparently there was. So Hanley's going to make his way off the field. Suarez spinning going to second base. And yes, the foot was on the bag when he made the catch.
2 down. Travis Shaw to step in. He has ripped a home run. He's also flied out to left. Red Sox ahead by 3. And Shaw trying to add to his RBI total, which right now sits at 51. And Suarez delivers for ball 1. Andy Ramirez probably steaming a little bit. 2 home runs and then they drill him.
Yeah, making sure right now the elbow's okay, and apparently it is.
Just off the outside edge. And a count 2-0 as he went with a changeup.
There's a case again now where Travis Shaw can look in his zone, and his zone is down in the strike zone, middle in. If he doesn't get that pitch, you don't need to swing.
Bogarts and Bradley on. And a 2-0 pitch from Suarez. He pops it up behind third, drifting out there, racing out Pena, sliding. Oh, what a play! Sensational play by Ramiro Pena with his back to home plate. Boy, we have seen some defense as well in this one. In the webbing to haul that in. That saves a run. 8-5 Red Sox. is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. And by Sullivan Tire and Complete Auto Service.
Yeah, you got to look at our truck. You see the front bench and the back bench. That's what they refer to, the front bench and back. Well, can we get a shot back there? Can the front bench just raise your hand so everybody can see it? Front bench. There you go. Now back bench. Yeah, that's it.
And the empty box of donuts.
Yeah.
Brandon Crawford leading off the fifth here. It's been some game.
That's been wild tonight here at Fenway.
Home plate umpire Shearwater did go out and remind Robbie Ross, in between innings, that both sides have been warned. And fouled back out of play by Crawford, who has doubled and singled. He's also scored a run.
Now, even if the Red Sox had not been warned, the last thing you'd want to do now is put a base runner on anyway. You got a 3-run lead. It'd be foolish to be throwing at anybody at this point. Hembree getting ready quickly.
And the 1-2 from the lefty. Crawford came in hitting .274 with 9 home runs, good power. He'll be followed by Williamson, who really is the guy who got them back in the game with a 3-run homer off of Pomerantz. 2-2 waved at and missed. He gets him at 88 miles an hour. He strikes him out.
Yeah, slider not exactly where Robbie Ross wanted it. I think he wanted to go away with this pitch. It stays inside or out over the plate, but still no contact. You see San Leon was set up on the outside part of the plate. This ball stays inside, so he got away with one right there.
Williamson now, he has struck out and hit a towering home run, a 3-run shot in the 4th inning. He'll take high for ball 1. The Yankees now leading the Orioles 3-0 in the 7th. A Red Sox victory tonight coupled with an Oriole loss would put the Red Sox in first place by half a game. That's across for a called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike on the man from Wake Forest. Former ACC Player of the Year, Mac Williamson. One and two.
Say one thing about Williamson, he does not get cheated. He had that 3-run home run back in the 4th inning. That was another home run cut right there.
In his first major league home run against David Price in San Francisco. 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Grant Green, the second baseman, up next. I wonder right about now what is going through the mind of Drew Pomerantz. But the Red Sox gave an 8-0 lead. He had to feel like he was in perfect shape. As that one is high for a ball. But he had that long 26-minute sit. He walked the leadoff man Posey to begin the 4th inning. And then the bottom fell out. Crawford with a base hit. Williamson with a 3-run homer. Green with a base hit. Brown with a 2-run homer. And suddenly the Giants were right back in it, 8-5. That's in there for strike 3, right on the corner. Caught him looking. 2 down.
Off-speed pitch to the outside part of the plate. It's a slider that really didn't do very much, kind of spinning up to home plate, but apparently does pick up the corner. And back-to-back strikeouts for Ross here in the 5th inning.
Lexus making a pledge to strikeout hunger. For every strikeout by Red Sox pitcher, Lexus donates $50 to the Greater Boston Food Bank. The 2 down back-to-back Ks brings up Green, who has singled and grounded out. He was on base when Brown crushed a 2-run homer. Up and over the monster seats in that 4th inning. That's across for a called strike. Green has played for Oakland and for the Angels before coming to the Giants. Hit just 190 with the Angels last year in 21 games. The 1-1. That moves him back.
Now see, That pitch is inside, but obviously no intent there by Robbie Ross, so he does not get thrown out of the ball game. But that is the danger, you know, and it's really becomes in the judgment of the umpire. Now, if he's hit, the umpire has to decide, was that intentional or not? And as I said earlier in this inning, it'd be foolish to put a base runner on in any situation right now.
And what if a guy like Brandon Guyer with Tampa Bay was playing for one of these teams?
Yeah,
who's a magnet.
Yep,
he gets drilled all the time.
That's a very good point.
Just kind of leans into pitches.
That's where you got to rely on the judgment of the umpire.
Yeah, exactly. 3-1 pitch, a called strike. And both dugouts have been warned after Hanley Ramirez was hit by a pitch. Brown on deck. Hit that home run in the fourth. Here comes the 3-2 from Ross. And he walks him upstairs for ball 4. So the Giants have a base runner. Here comes John Farrell. He has Hembree warming in the bullpen. Hey, tomorrow at 6, don't miss Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. TC and Steve Lyons will be joined by Twins legend and Hall of Famer Rod Carew. We'll also stop by the booth tomorrow night. So we look forward to that. Hembree coming in. That's all for Ross. 8-5 Red Sox. Back with more in a moment. Sox serving New England communities for 170 years. Here in the 5th inning, Jerry Remy and Dave O'Brien with it. Gary Striewski as well. Heath Hembree out of the bullpen. He tossed 2/3 of scoreless inning and walked a man on Sunday against the Yankees. That was his last appearance. Been very effective with a 1.96 ERA. He inherits a runner at first base in Grant Green, who just took ball 4, and now it's Trevor Brown, who homered last time up in the 4th inning. 2-run shot. He also struck out in the 2nd inning. And the Red Sox with an 8-5 lead. They have out-hit San Francisco 11-8 on a night where the baseball is carrying very, very well here on Yawkey Way. So Brown in, hitting .250, now 5 home runs. Goes after the first pitch and flicks a foul for a strike. Brown broke in just last year. He's out of UCLA. You'd think the Red Sox would be trying to run on him tonight, given the opportunity. They might the rest of the way. He's only thrown out 5 out of 21 men attempting to steal.
Well, we've already seen that a couple of times. We saw Betts do it, and we saw Bogart's attempt to do it. He was running on a number of occasions when he was on first base.
So look for that the rest of the way. Posey is their designated hitter tonight. 2 down and a man on. And a hard-throwing right-hander delivers, and that one's socked toward the wall in left field. Oh, will have to play it off the green. He scoops it up. Runner heading into third base. It's going to be a long single for Brown. Very well played by Brock Holt. That'll hold him on at first and third.
You know, well played by Brock Holt in left field. Also well played by Brown, because, you know, most players not familiar with Fenway Park and they hit a ball like this off the wall, they'll try for two. He had no intentions of going for two. There's that nice play out in left field by Brock Holt. Quickly gets it back into second base. And you can see holding up right there is Brown. And that's a pretty smart base running move, because you hit a ball that hard against the wall, you think about a double.
So they're on the corners now for Pena, the number 9 hitter. Who has an infield hit. He's also popped up 1 for 2. Giants are swinging the bats tonight, as their manager hoped they would. And that drops in for strike 1 as he starts him out with a curveball. Red Sox up by 3. And in the 5th inning, the 0-1. And he left that one a little high. Red Sox will have due up in the bottom of the 5th inning Leone, Holt, and Betts. And between them, between those 3, they already have 5 hits in the game. It's been a good night to swing. The 1-1. Hammered foul. Fans, be sure to stop by Plainridge Park Casino. Plainridge Park Casino is the official sponsor of Winning. Pena's been around a little while now, 31 years old. Veteran catcher they acquired on the 10th of June. They can play him at third, short, or second base. Hembry's trying to strike him out. 2-2. Span, the on-deck hitter. He dropped down a bunt hit in his last at bat. They lead at first and third, and a 2-2 coming. And it's squibbed toward the shortstop. Bogaerts with a run scoring, can't do anything with it as Green touches home plate. That'll make it 8-6. But it had a weird spin coming off the bat.
Well, Bogaerts thought that Travis Shaw was going to make that play. That's the reason for the hesitation by Xander. It was spinning kind of a weird spin out there, but you see that Shaw goes to his left and then lets it go. And then Bogaerts is surprised that Shaw didn't make the play. So once he makes the play on the backhand right there, he's got nowhere to go with it.
So Pena is on with a base hit that produces an RBI. And it's the second time in the game a walk has come back to burn the Red Sox as Green scored. He had taken ball 4, and that'll bring up Span with Brown and Pena on. And now how about this? The tying runs are on base in a game the Red Sox led at 8-0. And that one looped into right field. That drops down for a base hit. Another run coming in to score. An RBI single to make it 8-7. Span with his second hit.
Well, for those who like offense, you're in the right spot tonight. Plenty of it here at Fenway Park. Span last time had a bunt base hit. This time he serves it out of the right field for the base hit to drive in another run. It's a 1-run ball game here at Fenway Park.
How about this? And remember, the first 2 men in this inning struck out. And it's a walk, a base hit, and another base hit. And Carl Willis out to talk with Hembry and try and figure out what is up as Lane is now loosening in the bullpen. Fans, time to vote for the Globies, Boston's biggest sports bash. The Boston Globe sports writers have nominated many of your favorite athletes and sports moments in several categories. Cast your vote right now at theglobies.com. The Globies are presented by Mercedes-Benz. With some long innings for the Red Sox pitching staff in this one. And not over yet. 2 down and 2 men aboard for San Francisco as the Giants have pulled within 1. And the next man in will be Pagan, who's gone 1 for 3 with a base hit. Hits are now even at 11. So turning into one of those nights here at Fenway. Pena down to second base. Span on at first after that RBI single. And Hembree now just trying to get out of the 5th inning with the Red Sox still in front. The Giant fans back to full throat. The Red Sox 8-0 lead has almost entirely disappeared. And that'll be a ball scooped up by Leon.
Well, you're right, Dave. This does sound like a soccer match, doesn't it? This is different, totally different here at Fenway Park. The score's not like a soccer match.
Well, that's for sure. Here comes the 1-0. High pop up. There's Shaw to foul ground. Coming over Bogarts as well. And Shaw leans in. And he hung on to make the play. The umpire double checking, but he hangs on. Going into the stands. This is some ball game. Outstanding play here. Battling the fans to make the catch. The Red Sox win. Plainridge Park Casino donates $777 to the Relay for Life of Greater Attleboro. Full moon. You would have guessed that with the kind of game we're seeing.
Now watch Travis Shaw go into the stands. You go in at your own risk when you reach over. Now watch the fan that's right behind him. First it looks like he's trying to get the ball out. Then it looks like he's trying to close the glove up for Travis Shaw. I couldn't tell what he was doing.
Travis hanging on for the out.
I mean, he's reaching for Souvenir, and then it looked like he was helping Shaw close the glove up.
That's what I want to think. As the Sox fan, Leon pops that one up. The shortstop Crawford into left field. And Sandy Leon 1 for 3 at his first career triple in the 3rd inning. I mean, security was delighted with him. You know, pats on the shoulder and on the back. It's a job well done. Helping out Travis Shaw. So 1 away for Brock Holt, who's had an excellent night with a single and an RBI double. Red Sox are still in front, but barely now, 8-7 here in the bottom half of the 5th. And he'll take a ball. Mookie Betts on deck. Mookie has 2 hits as well. And the 1-0. Drilled in there for a strike. The Yankees have a 4-0 lead on Baltimore in the 8th inning. As we keep tabs on that, the 1-1 coming. Matt Cain only lasted 2 1/3 innings. His first start back off the disabled list for San Francisco. But Drew Pomeranz in his Red Sox debut went only 3 innings. And he gave up 5 runs and 8 hits. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Ground ball past first, but foul.
Well, Brock Holt spraying the ball all over the ballpark. I mean, he's got some pitches away that he's taken to the opposite field. That pitch was in. He pulls it, but just fouled down the first base line.
Derek Law throwing in the bullpen, right-hander now for the Giants. We're going to get deep into both of these bullpens tonight. And a 1-2 to Brock. Brock's really heated up with the bat. He seems to have been recovered from that concussion. For a while, the Red Sox had to play him a couple of days and sit him. But he now has a 9-game hitting streak. 2-2. In there for strike 3, according to home plate umpire Shearwater. He rings him up.
Now Holt having a few words with the home plate umpire. Questionable call at that time. It looked like it might have been a little bit inside. Watch Holt jump back. Look at the location of the pitch. Very close, and it's awfully tough to take those pitches with 2 strikes. But, you know, a pitch like that is awfully hard to hit. And there's Holt having a few words with the home plate umpire.
2 down, top of the order now, Mookie Betts. He's gone 2 for 3 with a single and a double that drove in a run. Mookie still has not scored since the All-Star break, but he did score 75 runs before it. The only other Red Sox hitter with as many as 75 runs before the break was Ted Williams. That one tagged. Heaven the wall, rising up, it's high off the monster. Mookie wants his 3rd hit, his 2nd double. He trots into second base with a 2-base hit.
Oh, he looks exceptionally good tonight at the plate. That's his 3rd hit. 1 to the opposite field, 1 pulling the ball on this pitch here. Under spin line drive, if you understand what I mean. You know, hitting underneath the baseball and keeping that ball on a line for the 2-out double and getting the scoring position.
He loves having a double, but that's gone in so many ballparks.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
Here's Pedroia now. He's 0 for 3. Hitting .295 with 9 home runs, and he'll look at a strike. He has reached base in 22 consecutive games. Red Sox ahead 8-7. Suddenly in a position where they need a cushion, despite an 8-0 lead at one point. The 0-1 off the corner. Pedroia, the number 2 all-time hitter in interleague play at .338. Only Mike Piazza had a higher batting average in interleague games. Xander Bogaerts on deck.
In my opinion, I think they were too deep in right field against Pedroia.
Check swing and a foul back on the fastball.
And even with 2 strikes, the right fielder Williamson does not even move in. A lot of times with 2 strikes, they'll bring him in a couple of steps, but he pretty much is staying in the same spot.
Mookie Betts with his 2-out double leading from second base. And the right-hander's 1-2 offering. Outside. Went to number 1 and came up empty there. 2-2.
Yeah, trying to pick up that outside fastball corner with the fastball that time.
Mookie Betts with 3 hits. Leading at second. And the 2-2. Jammed him and he popped it up. And Crawford, the shortstop, right there on the dirt to retire the side. So the Red Sox do not get that run in. We've wrapped up 5 at Fenway. 8-7 Boston.
One-run lead as we enter the 6th inning. Guys, I mentioned Julian Edelman was actually in the building earlier today, and here's some proof. I'm not ready to call him like the next coming of Bo Jackson, but he was taking some BP. He was fielding some ground balls. He was having a good time. In fact, we got a couple Kent State Golden Flashes in the building. Julian Edelman playing his college ball there, and Travis Shaw also playing some baseball there today. Was the first time the 2 former Golden Flashes actually met. Travis Shaw obviously giving Jules some tips because he went yard like 6 times during BP.
I'm going to tell you something. I watched almost all of that, and he can play.
Legitimately, he can play.
Yes, he can play. He's got a very, very quick swing. He showed good power to left field in particular. Hit about, I would say, 4 into the monster seats. And a very good defensive player also.
Really?
Yes.
So some skills. Base hit up the middle off the bat of Brandon Belt. And that's his first hit in the second half after having gone 0 for 19.
Yeah, the Red Sox in the shift that time, and Belt takes Tommy Lane to the shortstop position, which was vacant, and picks up the leadoff base hit in the 6th. Though the Giants just keep on coming.
Tommy Lane, his 30th appearance, and becomes the 3rd Red Sox reliever to get into this one. That sends up Buster Posey, who's gone 0 for 2 with a walk in the 4th inning. And he lines a base hit to center field. Belt scurries into second. Back-to-back singles. So they have the tying run at second base.
And right now, the Giants have more hits in this game than the Red Sox, as we see Matt Barnes loosening in the bullpen. So 2 very quick hits to lead off the 6th inning.
These 2 clubs have combined for 25 hits already. First one for Buster Posey, and that'll bring up Crawford, who has doubled, singled, and struck out. 2 aboard and nobody out for San Francisco. They have come from 8-0 down. Well, shop at Jordan's Furniture now and get a discount equal to twice the state sales tax on everything in the store. Visit Jordans.com for details. So Lane in immediate difficulty. And Crawford will take one down and in for a ball. He was hitless last night, but 2 hits tonight. Crawford has faced Lane 3 times. He's 0 for 3 with a strikeout against him, and he'll take a ball. So to count 2-0. Barnes ready. And you know he's getting into this game at some point.
Yeah, maybe very quickly.
Williamson on deck. He had the 3-run homer in the 4th. 8 runs on 12 hits for Boston, 7 runs on 13 hits for San Francisco. And Lane's 2-0 pitch. And that one a bullet, but foul as he hooked it.
Watching the position of Jackie Bradley in center field. He was shading him to the opposite field. Once the count went to 2-0, you can see where he shifts to the pull side. Expecting Crawford to pull the ball now with the count 2 balls and 1 strike.
By this same point last night, Koji was on the mound trying to close things out. Unfortunately, he got hurt with a strained pectoral muscle. He's now on the disabled list. But here we are 24 hours later, and we are in the top of the 6th inning with all the scoring. The Red Sox did have an 8-0 lead. If you're just joining us, but the Giants came charging back and could be a base hit away from tying the game. And Lane's 2-1. Down low. So hitters count for Crawford. Lane struggling. Base hit, now 3-1. And the left-hander delivers. And he walks him, and the bases are loaded for San Francisco with nobody out. And Farrell is heading out to go to the right-hander. He's going to bring on Barnes right now against Williamson. The San Francisco Giants have loaded up the bases. We're going to take a break. Be back with more at Fenway in just a moment. Of the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox are clinging to a 1-run lead, 8-7 over the Giants. San Francisco just loaded the bases after the walk to Crawford, and that forces John Farrell to bring on another relief pitcher, Matt Barnes, who is 2-3, a 3.07 ERA in 36 appearances.
Yeah, Barnes is going to have to go a while in this ball game.
And he inherits bases loaded, Belt at third, Posey at second, and Crawford at first, as Lane did not get an out. And he puts Barnes in a world of hurt here. The batter will be Williamson, certainly a fly ball guy. And he hit a big one back in the 4th inning for a 3-run homer. It's actually going to be Blanco now coming up to hit for him. So they want a contact man in this situation. And it'll be Gregor Blanco hitting .247 with just 1 home run. So a pinch hitter with the bases all loaded for San Francisco. And Barnes ready, his first one of the pinch batter. Ball 1.
Starts him off with a curveball that time and just kind of spins up the home plate. Certainly got to sit on a fastball right here if you're a hitter.
This season with the bases loaded, Gregor Blanco has gone 4 for 6 with 8 RBIs. So this is his spot. And he fouls it away, 1-1. Got a big fastball there, 97.
Yeah, it's almost guaranteed in that situation you're going to get. When he misses on his first curveball, bases are loaded. He's got to throw a strike. He got his fastball but fouled it off.
Bochy, one of the best managers in all of baseball. So he lifts Williamson and goes to Blanco. Loves the bases loaded. And a 1-1. Ground ball to first base. Hanley gets the out there, throws home. They're going to need a tag, and he got him. That's a double play. We'll see if there's a challenge on this, as Belt is out at the plate. Hanley got the out at first base first. And Bochy's thinking about a challenge on the play at the plate.
That's a heck of a play by Hanley. He's had some very good defensive plays tonight. He just tags the bag, the good throw home, and look at the spin around right there. Now, I'm not sure if that foot was on home plate yet. Let's take another look. Does the foot get there before the tag? Or was the foot in the air?
Or can you really tell?
Can you tell is question number 3. Tag now becomes a tag play at home. The spin around by Leone. Does he tag him on the shin before the foot gets to home plate, or is the foot even dragging on home plate? Is it above it?
Oh, boy.
You know, did he get his foot before he got his shin? That's worth looking at again.
Well, they're looking at it in New York. To play under review, obviously a challenge here by San Francisco.
Now, look at the foot. Does he get the foot first on the first swipe? Can't tell. Can't tell. That is a tough one.
So will they have enough evidence to overturn it? Ruled a double play. We blow it up for you.
Now, does he tag him there? That's the question. Is there a tag there? There certainly is a second tag. We don't know about the first.
Shearwater, the home plate umpire.
I'll tell you, if that goes the Red Sox way and stays a double play, obviously it's a huge play in the game, and it's a terrific play by Ramirez and Sandy Leone. Spitting does not know where the runner is. Now, does he tag him right there? That's the question I have. I mean, he definitely gets him with the second tag, but then you're not sure if the foot is on the plate or if it's above the plate.
A little bit of a better look. This is for our audience, by the way. This is for you. This isn't what they're seeing in New York necessarily. And called him out. So they uphold the call at home plate. The double play stands. And Belt is out at home plate on the twin killing. 2 down. with runners at second and third for San Francisco.
Oh, is that ever huge for the Red Sox? And it couldn't have been hit in a better spot. Hanley moving toward the first base bag, tags the bag. There's the force out. Now it becomes a tag play at home plate, and Leone has to spin around and find the runner.
They're going to bring up Connor Gillespie to pinch hit. So back-to-back pinch hitters by Bruce Bochy. He's .255 with 3 home runs. You said it, Jerry. The Red Sox get out of this inning without a run.
Whoa. Wow.
Leading 8-7, hanging on by their fingernails right now. And the first pitch, a breaking ball for ball 1.
Nice play there by Sandy Leone. Ball in the dirt. Able to smother that and keep that runner at third base. Again, expected the ball down. That glove turns over and protects the 5-hole.
The Giants had the bases loaded and nobody out. Now runners at second and third and 2 out. And the 1-0. That finds the mark. 1-1. Eight-7 Red Sox. This game's only in the 6th inning. And the 1-1. Right through it. He went with a high heat.
97 with that fastball from Bonds. A little extra adrenaline with the men at second and third.
Boy, enough stuff has happened in this game for 2 games.
I know. I feel like I've done 2 games already. We actually have. We've done a Red Sox game early and then a Giants game since then.
Sox in 2 is becoming Sox in 4. Second and third. Leone on for a quick conference. Barnes is a strike away from getting out of this inning without a run. The 1-2 to Gillespie. Fouled back. Just got a piece, and that was 98.
Yeah, and he got the ball where he wanted to get it to, high in the strike zone to see if Gillespie would chase it. He did, but fouled it off. Kind of a half swing.
Posey and Crawford lead away, and the 1-2. High pop-up. Hanley into foul ground. He's there, and the Red Sox get out of the inning. The Giants had the bases loaded and nobody out, and they failed to score. And Hanley Ramirez was right in the middle of it with that double play. Franchises are proud to give back to the communities in which they live and work. Thousands of kids have had the chance to catch a free Sox game thanks to Dunkin' Donuts. Tonight, we welcome the Cambridge Mayor's Summer Youth Employment Program to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts, committed to the community. Well, a bevy of changes here for San Francisco. Blanco remains in the game. He's in right field. Gillespie takes over at third base. Pena moves over from third to second. Suarez still pitching. And Bogart's batting for the fourth time. He's gone 2 for 3 in a wild one at Fenway.
Yeah, Suarez has actually done a pretty good job in this ballgame quieting down the Red Sox.
David Ortiz on deck. And on the off-speed pitch, he waves right through it. So quickly 2 strikes on Xander. He has singled 2 times, hitting .321. And he had been chilly. He had been 2 for 18 since the end of the first half. It's a high fly ball into left field, driving back Pagan a bit, but now in for the first out here in the bottom of the 6th.
There have been some big defensive plays for the Red Sox. Look at Pedroia go to his left and back to his right and take a line drive base hit away to save a run. That saves 1 run. Then you get Hanley with the bases loaded in the 6th inning. Tags first for the 4th out. Gets the throw home. It becomes a tag play by Leone. 2 very good plays. Actually 3 very good plays. Pedroia, Ramirez, and Leone.
David Ortiz now. He's gone 0 for 2 with a walk. He was on base when Hanley Ramirez hit the first of his 2 2-run homers tonight in the 2nd inning. And here comes Hanley again. He's also been drilled by a pitch, and both benches were warned after that. Matt Barnes just got out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam to preserve a 1-run Red Sox lead. But a long way to go yet tonight. The Yankees, by the way, have beaten Baltimore 5-0. So if the Red Sox can find their way to a victory tonight, they'll be back in first place. Nothing is assured on this night. That one ripped and a base hit into right field. So Big Papillon with his first hit.
Well, Hanley's going to get his chance to get back. It's Suarez. Remember when he got hit last time up, walking down the first base line, he said, "I'm going to get you." Well, here comes his opportunity right now. Hanley not happy about being hit, felt it was intentional. I'll get you back. Well, here's the matchup.
A pair of 2-run homers, and then he got drilled. 1 out, 1 on for the Red Sox. And a drive. Hooked deep down the line. That one is up and out of here. And indeed, he did get him back on the very first swing. You got to be kidding me. Hanley Ramirez, for the 3rd time tonight, hits one out of Fenway Park. That's the first time in his career he's done that. The first 3-home run game of his career. And the Red Sox lead this ball game 10-7.
Well, Hanley said he will get him back. And it didn't take him long. Back to the 4th inning. He gets drilled. Walks down the first base line. I'll get you back. Well, he had his chance. And on the very first pitch in the 6th inning, he got him back. Oh, that's good stuff. That's just good stuff.
Man.
What a game.
Home runs in the 2nd, in the 3rd, and again in the 6th inning. And the Boston Red Sox have a 3-run cushion. Great look at that one down the line. What a night for Hanley Ramirez. And we'll take a break as the Giants go to the bullpen. Takes Suarez out of Fenway Park after the right-hander had drilled him in the previous at-bat. Hanley Ramirez is having the best game he has ever had with the Red Sox.
Yeah, this is really something. This whole game tonight, and what a game Hanley has played. And 3 home runs. He's got, 6 RBIs. He's played defense. He's done everything.
Jackie Bradley.
And he's a man that fulfills his promise.
A great moment there. Red Sox ahead 10-7. Jackie Bradley's gone 1 for 3 with a double. Josh Osich is the pitcher, the left-hander. He's gone 1-1 with a 3.95 ERA in 45 games. And Fenway has quieted for the moment. But the old ballpark has been quite noisy tonight. Red Sox now with 10 runs on 14 hits. The Giants with 7 runs on 13 hits. Hanley Ramirez with 3 home runs. Travis Shaw has also homered. For the Giants, Brown and Williamson have homered. And again, only the bottom of the 6th inning. Here's the 2-1. Hit sharply but caught by Pena. And that is the second out here in the 6th.
That was a bullet off the bat of Jackie Bradley, but right at Pena at second base. Watch Pena just take a step to his right and able to snag that line drive, but that ball hit very, very hard by Jackie Bradley Jr.
Travis Shaw next. He's hit a long home run. He's also flied out, and he popped up down the left field line on a play where Pena, then playing third base, made a magnificent play, sliding with his back to home plate. We have seen a slew of outstanding defensive plays.
Really have. That's going to get lost, I think, a little bit in the shuffle of this game. But it's been such a wild game. But there have been some big defensive plays. We highlighted a few earlier this inning.
Osich firing down low to make it 2-0.
Hanley has been involved in some of those big defensive plays in this game.
And none bigger than the double play that he started at first base. Firing home to Leon to get the tag on Belt.
Well, he has saved a couple of runs. Remember the line drive that was to his left?
Yes, early in the game.
Early in the ball game, that would have been a run. The Pedroia play was huge. Going up the middle, that saved the run. And the Red Sox still maintain a 3-run lead, even in this wild game. It's like a 3-0 ball game right now.
Leon on deck, 2 down, bases empty, and a 2-1 to Travis. And he fouls it away. Red Sox with a victory would go to 14 over 500. They have not been there this season. And a 2-2 to the Red Sox third baseman. It is 11th home run back in the second inning. Chopped toward the middle. Crawford behind a bag. And that'll do it. But Hanley Ramirez strikes for the 3rd time tonight. First time in his career. He has homered 3 times in one game. All 3 of them 2-run shots. Red Sox by 3. TC and Garrett Austin supporting the 2016 Run to Home Base presented by New Balance. Money raised will help fund clinical care and counseling for veterans and their families. For more information on how to participate, visit runtohomebase.org. Some night for that man, Hanley Ramirez, and he's going to get more opportunities to swing the bat. As we go to the 7th inning, the Red Sox lead at 10-7. And Trevor Brown leading things off. He has a home run tonight. A 2-run shot, 4th inning. He'll be followed by Pena and then Denard Span. Red Sox looking for a 1-2-3 inning. The pitching staff could really use one.
Their Bonds came up very, very big in the 6th inning. Bases loaded and got that double play that was started by Ramirez. Got the pop-up that was caught by Ramirez to get the Red Sox out of a terrible jam right there.
Started out with a belt base hit, a Posey single, and a walk to Crawford. And the Red Sox were in deep, deep trouble. But he got out of it. Hanley Ramirez with that double play on a challenge at home plate. On a double play after he stepped on the bag to get it out at first and then fired home to Leone and got the tag on Belt. The umpires upheld the call. So this game has had a little bit of everything. And then some. The 2-1. That one underneath Hanley could not make that play. It'll be a base hit into right field, and it's the 3rd hit of the ball game for Brown. Hey, bring your company to a Red Sox game this year and enjoy one of Fenway's special pregame spaces, accommodating as many as 200 guests. For tickets and more information, visit redsox.com/groups. And Pena will step in next. He's one of the many guys tonight who has more than one hit. He's gone 2 for 3. These Giants keep on coming, don't they? They have 14 hits. Same as Boston. Pena hitting .359 in limited games. He flies that one to Jackie Bradley, and off to his right. He'll put it away. One man gone in the 7th. And Span will be next. He has 2 hits. One of them a bunt. He also has an RBI single. 28 combined hits tonight.
We're seeing just about everything. Talk about an entertaining ball game at Fenway Park tonight. I mean, it's a little too entertaining for the Red Sox point of view, but I mean, you're right, Dave. We have seen just about everything.
Now, home runs, clutch defense, and big innings by both teams. Fouled away by Span.
98 with that fastball from Matt Barnes. And a late swing by Span.
Who knows, maybe these two will encounter each other in October. But this is the last time they will meet in the regular season here tonight. Red Sox will invite a new opponent in tomorrow night. It'll be the Minnesota Twins, in for 4 games. And they've just had an awful year. Here comes the 0-1. And a strike. Stephen Wright will go tomorrow night. He goes in 11-5. He's trying to right his ship a little bit, though. In recent starts, he's had some trouble, although still a very low ERA of 2.78. Eduardo Rodriguez goes on Friday, David Price on Saturday, and then on Sunday afternoon, Rick Porcello puts his 9-0 Fenway Park record on the line again. Rick Porcello 12-2. Roped into center field, but there's plenty of room there for Jackie Bradley to make the catch. 2 down, and again Brown back to first.
You know, one of the beauties we have of having the seat that we have to watch this game is to watch Jackie Bradley in center field. The jumps that he gets on the baseball, you know, right on contact that time. I mean, he's off and moving to his right. Now watch Bradley. See how he's shading to the opposite field. Contact is made, and I mean, he just kind of glides after the ball. Just so smooth. It's fun to watch from opposition.
Two down for Pagan now, who's gone 1 for 4 with a single in the 3rd inning. Red Sox leading at 10-7 in the 7th. Runner at first base for the Giants. Amazingly, they failed to score last inning, and that's in there for a called strike. Maybe it's something about putting on these uniforms, these 1975 Red Sox uniforms. I remember a lot of games like this at Fenway in 1975 when I was a kid. 10-7, 14-6. The Sox team could really score. Here's the 0-1, and up and away. With a victory, the Red Sox would improve to 53-39. David Price ready to go on Saturday. He spoke at the Bo Sox luncheon today. He talked about his own desire to get back to being a dominating pitcher the rest of the way. In there for a called strike, 1-2. Right now, David at 9-7, a 4.36 ERA. Said, by the way, I'm very comfortable in Boston. I've really settled in.
He is great in the clubhouse. Absolutely terrific. From the first day he reported, he just seemed comfortable.
He's talking about how happy he was with Porcello's success. The 1-2 coming. Up the middle, past the bag, a dive and a miss by Bogaerts. Another base hit. Second one for Pagan will be on at first and second with 2 men out.
That's the second hit tonight that he's had on a breaking ball. Got a hit against Ramirez on a breaking ball, and now it's a curveball here that he takes back up the middle. The dive by Bogaerts. If he makes that play, the only opportunity he's got is to go to second base, and I don't think they would have got that runner in a force play at second base. But a nice effort by Bogaerts nonetheless.
It'll send up one of their home run threats. And Brandon Belt, who has gone 1 for 4, he has hit 10 home runs. He started out his second half 0 for 19 with 9 strikeouts before he got a base hit in the 6th inning. He has 2 men aboard and 2 down. And once again, the Giants have gone in front in hits, 15-14. And he'll take ball 1. Belt's average, because of this slump to begin the second half, has dropped from 302 to 286. And Barnes with a 1-0 pitch. Right by him at 98.
Keeping that fastball away from Belt, too. The 98-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside corner. Pretty tough pitch to make contact on.
Brown at second and Pagan at first. And Barnes with a 1-1. He left it high. So 2 balls and 1 strike. Buster Posey on deck. This is the dangerous part of the Giant order right here. And Barnes with a 2-1. Two and 2.
Well, look at the pattern of pitches. Everything away from Belt. All 4 pitches. Again, the fastball almost the exact same spot as the second pitch.
Boy, it has been a festive couple of nights here at Fenway. And now Leon asking for time, and he wants to talk this over. There has been a grade A battle between Red Sox fans and Giant fans in the crowd. Tomorrow at 6:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live, presented by DCU. TC and Steve Lyons will preview Stephen Wright's start tomorrow against the Twins. DCU is Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you?
And I've been involved in a lot of Red Sox-Yankee games here at Fenway Park, but this matches any of that noise-wise.
2-2. Brandon Belt. Barnes trying to punch him out, and he misses. So the count runs full. Brown at second and Pagan at first will get a head start with 2 down and a 3-2 pitch coming. The 3-2 runners go, and it's Spoil, knocked foul out of play.
And I'm watching Ramirez at first base, and he's playing close to the line, and he should be doing that also because, it's a 3-run ball game and the potential tying run to the plate. So you don't want a ball going between you and that first base line for an extra base hit. You want to keep that man, away from second base. So that's why Hanley's playing close to the first base line.
Barnes will try it again. 3-2 on Brandon Belt. Runners go from first and second. And he struck him out. He came back with a breaking ball, a curveball to Phantom. So San Francisco strands 2. Barnes comes up big again. Last 2 innings, he has been dynamite. Clubhouse presented by Delta Dental of Massachusetts. We learn how to stretch before a start and new ways to stay safe on the mound. Catch it Sunday at noontime. Last half of the 7th inning at Fenway, the Red Sox on top 10-7. Barnes pitching out of difficulty with a couple of men left behind. Sandy Leon will begin this inning. He's gone 1 for 3 with an RBI triple. First triple of his career. Hanley Ramirez has hit 3 home runs in a single game for the first time in his career. The 1-0 swung on and foul tipped into the mitt. The Red Sox have Clay Buchholz loosening in the bullpen. Brock Holt will follow, and then Mookie Betts in the 7th. Sox with 14 hits, Giants with 15. Osich with a 1-1 and down and in.
Ball not straight at all from Osich. I mean, those fastballs to Leon were away from him. They were moving away. That last pitch right there was moving inside.
Sandy hitting .426.
See the movement on that fastball again. I mean, it starts on the outside part of the plate, but then it breaks way off the outside edge.
Derek Law, the right-hander, is up for the second time in the game. It felt like he warmed up the last time about 2 hours ago.
Last week.
3-1 fouled away. But it's been that kind of game. And under a full moon at Fenway Park, the Red Sox have a 10-7 lead. They had an 8-0 lead. And then the Giants came back to cut it to 1. And that's the reason why we've had the kind of night we've had. That full moon up there. 3-2 pitch now to Leon. High fly ball, twisting high, deep to left. Back it goes. Gone. .11-7 Boston.
Sandy Leon gets a cut fastball. You'll see it right here, and it cuts right over the middle of the plate. Second RBI of the night, a triple and a home run for Leon in this game.
He's just a different hitter, and a really good hitter.
And from both sides of the plate, left-handed and right-handed.
That is 5 Red Sox home runs tonight. Second RBI of the game for the Red Sox catcher, who's made himself the #1 catcher. If you talk to Sandy, he'll tell you that's the reason why he's the hitter he is. He's getting a chance to play like 4 times a week.
And we talked about that a couple of games ago. I mean, the more at bats you get, obviously the more comfortable you play, you get at the plate.
Brock Holt is 2 for 3. He pops that one into left field, an easy play for Pagan. And that'll be the first out of the inning. Brock now 2 for 4. CVS Health is a proud supporter of Stand Up to Cancer. We invite you to share your hashtag reasons to stand up by posting a photo or video of why you stand up to cancer and tag @CVS in action. And here comes Bochy again. He will take the ball away from the left-hander. And he'll bring on Law here to face Mookie Betts. Red Sox ahead 11-7. Another home run here in the 7th, and we'll have more in a moment. People's United Bank. Jerry, let's see what topics people can vote on to hear you talk about tonight on NESN. And there's a lot to talk about on this one. Hanley's big night way out front with the 3 homers.
Now, the thing that's impressed me about the 3 home runs is where he's hit them. You know, 1 to right field, 1 to center field, pulling 1.
You can text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. So Law coming out of their bullpen. For the 35th appearance, he's been pretty tough with a 2.78 ERA. He'll take on Mookie Betts here with one down and the bases empty. Back toward the mound, a bare hand stab by Lawn. He guns a strike to retire Mookie, who is 3 for 5 now after that out.
I was surprised to see him go to the bare hand of that. I thought he might use the glove, but instead he's able to make the play with the bare hand and threw a nasty sinker to first base to Belt. A little bit of a dangerous play right there, but he completes it.
Two-away, Pedroia to batter with nobody on base. He's gone 0 for 4. Although he hit a rocket back in the second inning, it was caught by the third baseman, and he'll take ball 1. Red Sox in front 11-7. 15 hits apiece. And there have been 7 home runs hit by the two clubs combined. Sandy Leon with the last one. He has a triple as well. Both starters went short. Kane went 2 1/3, and Pomeranz in his Red Sox debut pitched into the 4th inning, did not get an out. So 3 innings in the books for him, and he was handed an 8-0 lead, so he has to be highly disappointed. But if the Red Sox win this game, they sweep this 2-game series from the San Francisco Giants, who came in with the best record in baseball. That is high and tight for ball 4. So Pedroia is on, and that extends his streak to 23 consecutive games having reached base. And Xander Bogaerts is next. Xander tonight has gone 2 for 4 with a couple of singles, and he scored a run. He was in a little bit of a slump. Looks like he may be out of it. At one point he was 4 for his last 26 before the base hit in the 3rd inning. Pops that one up into right field. And Blanco there to make the play and retire the side. But the Red Sox add another run on a home run by Sandy Leon, his 3rd of the season, his 2nd extra base hit, 2nd RBI tonight. 11-7 Red Sox. Ballpark in New England. If you think your backyard is in a league of its own, upload a short video of your backyard ballpark and send it to NESN.com/ballparks. Jerry and I will team up and pick the winner. And if you win, Jerry will host a private party for you and your family and your friends in your backyard. Contest is presented in part by Lighthouse Construction.
Are you not going now? Or last night you were going, tonight you're not going? What are you doing?
I'd like to go. If I'm invited.
No, you're invited.
Oh, I can't come? All right.
Yeah.
Do I have to bring anything?
No, just yourself. I mean,
maybe a fruit salad.
I know last night it was you and I, and tonight it's just me. They bailed out already?
Just reading the promo. Just reading the promo. 11-7, Red Sox with the lead here as we go to the 8th inning. And Posey the batter. We had a lot of fun at that last year at Ryan, New Hampshire, because they did such a great job.
Wonderful people, great time, a real nice day.
So going to have to top that one, whoever comes up the winner. Posey has flied out, walked, hit into a fielder's choice and single, hitting .287 with a dozen home runs. Into the dirt. So Barnes working into his 3rd inning. Red Sox can be in first place if they win this game. They would jump over the Orioles by half a game in the standings.
Yeah, Red Sox really trying to get a lot out of Barnes tonight because of that situation in the bullpen.
The 1-1 on the way. A strike. If you missed it, Koji Uehara went on the disabled list with that pectoral strain after last night. Brad Ziegler is going to be the closer until Kimbrel is ready to return, until Craig Kimbrel is back from the torn cartilage in the knee. Looks like Tazawa will be activated on Friday. And I think a fascinating guy right now pitching for the Paw Sox is Joe Kelly.
Yeah, and we speculated last night. I'm sure he's going to get the call here very shortly. As a matter of fact, bullpen situation may change tomorrow because of everybody that's had to work in the game tonight.
2-2. And in there for strike 3. 98 on the black to get him, to freeze Buster Posey.
This has been very impressive by Barnes for a couple of reasons. First of all, he's got very good stuff. It's been high stress pitches too. I mean, he's been in stressful situations in 2 innings that he's been in this ball game. There he picks up the outside corner with the fastball to pick up the strikeout against Posey.
Crawford next. He has doubled and singled and taken ball 4, so he's been a tough out in this one. Into the 8th inning at Fenway. Crawford, one of the better defensive shortstops in baseball. Strike 1 on him on the curveball.
Yeah, there's a great example of a guy that's sitting on a fastball, did not pick the baseball up out of the pitcher's hand very well, and took a very weak swing at a curveball. I mean, he missed that by a country mile, whatever a country mile is.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to Crawford. I get New York minute.
Yeah, no, I get that too, but I guess there's really no difference between a city mile and a country mile.
1 ball and 1 strike. Blanco on deck. Red Sox had an 8-0 lead, then it was 8-5, then 8-7, and that's in there for a called strike. It's been a great night for the Red Sox first baseman Hanley Ramirez, with 3 2-run homers and a number of outstanding defensive plays. He's also been in the thick of the drama as he was drilled by a pitch after his second 2-run homer by Suarez, the right-hander. And then as he walked up the first base line and both dugouts were being warned, you could see Hanley telling the pitcher, "I'm going to get you back for that."
Yeah, now, we're pretty clear on that. And I don't think he was speaking Spanish. I think that he was saying, "I'll get you back." And that's what it looked like. We replayed it a number of times.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. At least to us.
Made for good TV anyway.
2-2. Yeah, we don't want to get in the way of a good story.
No, but here's where he gets hit by the pitch. Looks out, walks down, says something, and it looked like, "I'll get you back." I think he said it twice. Second time was clearer.
I'm really bad at reading lips, but I think that's what he said. It's high and tight for a ball and a count on 3-2.
Well, I know what he did not say. He did not say "Buenas noches, amigo." I know that.
3-2 on Crawford. And a payoff pitch from the right-hander Barnes. Fouled away. Bases empty with one gone. New opponent in tomorrow, the Minnesota Twins for 4 games. And then the Detroit Tigers will follow on this 9-game homestand. The longest remaining homestand in 2016 for the Sox. Payoff pitch. And a routine ground ball to Pedroia. 2 up and 2 down. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC and Steve Lyons will preview Stephen Wright's start tomorrow as he looks for his 12th win of the season. It'll be at 7:10. Tyler Duffy will be his opponent. And again, it's been a horrible season for the Minnesota Twins. They've already fired their general manager. And they started play today 21 games out behind the Cleveland Indians in the Central. Here's Gregor Blanco. He's the man who came up to bat with nobody out and the bases loaded in the 6th inning and grounded to Hanley Ramirez, who got the out at first and then fired back to home plate where Leon put the tag on Belt for a double play as Ziegler begins to get ready. He has taken over the closer duties. 1-0 pitch is high and wide.
A big difference with Ziegler as a closer as opposed to Kimbrel, Uehara, both guys pretty much known as strikeout guys. Uehara because of his split, Kimbrel with that nasty fastball and breaking ball. Ziegler's a different story. You're going to see more contact against him at the end of games.
That's what he wants. He wants ground balls.
Sinker ball pitch.
Right through it. Another big heater at 97, 2-1. Red Sox ahead 11-7. Many other games by this hour have gone final. We're in the top of the 8th and the 2-1. Out of play, 2-2. Sox fans looking for the best seats to the biggest games. Check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace at RedSoxReplay.com. The best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game. The Red Sox pitching staff has not had a 1-2-3 inning. Check swing and a pitch down low. And now 3-2 on Blanco.
You had yourself all set up to say till now. And he had that breaking ball down, and Blanco almost did go for it.
Barnes trying to put him away. The 3-2. High fly left field. Brock Cole with room on the track. And there it is. 1, 2, 3 they go. Middle of the 8th inning at Fenway. 11-7. Red Sox leading the Giants. moment brought to you by Old Dominion. Hanley Ramirez tonight with 1, 2, and 3 2-run homers. First time in his career that he has hit 3 in a game. Old Dominion Household Services, self-moving services that deliver. Red Sox ahead 11-7. And watch Torey Lovullo there in between innings, giving the 4 for Hanley, who has a chance to do that, to hit 4 home runs. He will follow David Ortiz here in the 8th inning. And Hanley coming out now, and after him, Jackie Bradley. He has had some night, all time in the American League now, 4 home runs in a game. Well, Josh Hamilton was the last to do it with Texas pretty recently. Ortiz tonight is 1 for 3 with a single. He has scored 2 runs. Hits are even at 15. If you're just joining us, well, you missed an awful lot tonight. Here's the 2-0 and in for a strike.
Not the kind of pitch that Ortiz wants to swing at. 2 balls and no strike. Fastball away instead of middle in. There's the shift, as always, on Ortiz.
Law with a 2-1 and grounded into that shift into right field. Off balance throw, and they're going to get him at first base. Pena, the second baseman, able to pick that and get the out.
Yeah, very nice play by Pena. Way back on the outfield grass.
So 1 gone in the Boston 8th.
Gets by the shortstop. He dives, then the backhanded play, and the long throw to first base. Now the crowd standing for Hanley Ramirez.
He went for it. Strike 1 on Hanley. 2-run homer in the second, a 2-run homer in the third, a 2-run homer in the 6th. Oh, 2.
Pretty nasty slider right there. Heartbreaking slider down and away from Ramirez.
Ground ball foul off third. I can tell you, all the years I've called Major League Baseball, I've never called one where a guy hit 4 home runs.
No. I'll take a base hit right here from Hanley to the opposite field and be just as happy. That sounds crazy, but it gets him back in his swing.
0-2. Little dribbler. And Law will gather that and get him. First time Hanley has been retired tonight. But he gets another wonderful hand here. He's had a special night, because he's done it with the glove as well. So 2 down here in the 8th inning. Jackie Bradley up. He's gone 1 for 4 with a double and a run. Red Sox ahead 11-7. Trying to hold up, but a swing and a miss for a strike.
You know, all the conversation after this game is obviously going to be about Hanley Ramirez, and it should be. But let's not forget, high stress pitches for Matt Barnes in this game. Defense.
And a base hit for Jackie Bradley. He's now gone 2 for 5. And the Red Sox go ahead and hit column 16-15.
You know, we're talking about an 11-7 game, and I'm bringing up defense and high stress pitched innings, but it's the truth. I mean, Matt Barnes was outstanding in this game. He quieted things down finally for the Red Sox. And then you had the defensive plays at first base by Hanley. You had Pedroia making a play. I mean, these are all big plays in a wild offensive game here at Fenway.
Boy, it has been that. But Barnes in that 6th inning just brilliant to get out of that bases loaded, nobody out jam without allowing a run. Then the very next inning, a couple of hits, and he once again shut them down.
Yep.
And he can win it. It's up to Mike Shalin, the official scorer. He has discretion on that. But Barnes would get the win if the Red Sox hold on. Travis Shaw, the batter, flicks that one foul. He's homered, flied out, popped up and grounded out. So he's 1 for 4. And Brad Ziegler has taken over as the new Red Sox closer for the moment. All ready to enter come the 9th inning as the Red Sox go for the sweep of the Giants in this 2-game series. And the 0-2 is way too high.
See Law shaking his head there. He wanted to go high, but not that high because that was not even tempting to swing at.
Sandy Leon on deck. He's had a big night too. The 1-2 coming. Waved at and missed. The bat goes flying into the screen as Shaw goes down on strikes. And that'll do it. We go to the 9th inning. And the Submariner coming on. The Red Sox 11 and San Francisco 7. Summary is brought to you by Xfinity. Red Sox in front 11-7. Both starters were out early, and that man has been right in the thick of the story. Hanley Ramirez with a career high 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. Sandy Leon with a home run and a triple as well. And the Red Sox trying to close it out with Brad Ziegler coming out of the bullpen. He threw 2/3 of a scoreless inning and walked a man Sunday night. And Ziegler with a scoreless 8th inning last night, allowing 1 hit. And he deals a strike to get started here in the 9th. Connor Gillespie, the batter. Then it's Brown and Pena, so the bottom third of the Giant order here in the 9th. And fouled, and that one got the home plate umpire, Shearwater.
Hitting on top of the change up, and it bounces up and whoops. Oh, excuse me. I think I better stop analyzing.
Wish you would. 0-2. Gillespie hitting .253 with 3 home runs. And right to Dustin Pedroia. That's going to be a ground ball out. 1 run gone. And tonight, after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, Andy Brickley weighs in on the Bruins and get a Pats training camp preview. That's tonight after Red Sox coverage on NESN Sports Today, presented by People's United Bank. So 1 gone, and Trevor Brown will be the hitter, 264 with 5 home runs, including 1 in the 4th inning, when the Giants came back from 8-0 down, made it 8-5 and then 8-7, and they had the bases loaded with nobody out, and they were about to go in front until Barnes shut them down. That one off the glove of Ziegler. It rolls the barehanded by Bogaerts, and he got him. He got him at first base. It's the kind of night it's been.
Now the question is Ziegler okay? I mean, that ball right back through the middle. I'm not exactly sure where it hit him. He seems to be okay. It was off the glove. Looks like off the thumb of the glove, and then the barehanded play, as you can see there by Bogaerts. Very nice. And Xander getting it in the fingers that time instead of the palm of the hand, and then letting it roll down. He got it right in the fingers in a good throwing position.
We've been saying this game's had a little bit of everything. It hadn't had that.
Right.
You know, a 1-6-3. But now they're 2 down. Ziegler's fine. And Ramiro Pena may be the last man to swing tonight in what has been a wild one at Fenway Park. Pena's gone 2 for 4 with a couple of singles. Bases empty, 2 down in the 9th. Rolled toward first base right along the line, but a foul ball. That'll make the count 1-1. $11 runs on 16 hits for the Red Sox. 7 runs on 15 hits for San Francisco. And there has not been an error in the game, but a lot of superb defense, really on both sides. Minnesota Twins are in next for 4 games. Stephen Wright on the hill tomorrow night. And Ziegler with a 2-1. Hammered foul to even up the count. If the Red Sox win, they sweep the series and send the Giants to their 5th consecutive defeat. And a right-hander with a 2-2 to Pena. Broken bat looper into left center, coming on Brock Holt. He makes the play on the run, and the Red Sox win it 11-7 in the most entertaining game of the season at Fenway Park. So far in 2016, they sweep the series, and now the Red Sox are in first place TC by a half a game over the Baltimore Orioles. What a night this was.